Michael, tell us what you first think about Karen Reed and what you thought about this hearing.
In terms of what I think about Karen Reed, if there was a competition for who hates Karen Reed the most, I would crawl over broken glass to join that competition. I would win that competition. I would hang up the trophy on the mantle where I watch TV at the end of the day so I could see it every single day.
So funny.
I love it.
Hey guys, so I'm here tonight, me with Tuesday, Julie, and Lydia, and we are super excited to have Mr. Jaafar with us. Unfortunately, he is going to be a little late tonight. He said that he had a meeting that ran a little late, so he'll be joining us at some point. He's going to hop in and we will bring him on stage as soon as he's here. But for right now, you've got us.
It's been a week, right? It's been a very long week.
Sorry, we are. Let you guys say hi. I realized that I didn't like letting anybody say hi, so I was going to be quiet for a second, but then,
We have all agreed that we are all so tired tonight, you guys. So have a little grace for us because I'm actually drinking coffee right now, believe it or not. So
yeah, we're kind of liking the Saturdays.
One of those weeks.
The Saturdays, we've gotten a little used to that.
Yeah. We're spoiled
Saturdays
now.
Work well.
Saturdays.
Yeah.
We're old. Fridays.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to deny that. I'm an old person. So Saturday afternoons are kind of my speed, right? They're my jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same. So y'all might be seeing us a lot more on Saturdays now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Michelle wants to know if we've sent any reply all emails lately.
I have not, Michelle. I have not
have you
done
guys,
that.
Have you ever done it?
Oh,
I've done it.
I knock on wood, I have not done it because it really is it is a conscious choice, right? I mean, my work emails are set to reply all, so some people do that. I know that it's set to reply all, so I don't do it.
Yeah.
On my other emails, I actually have to choose to reply all. So no, I have not, knock on wood. Like I said,
I have done it and it's been very embarrassing, but it's not cost me money like it's cost Karen. But
yeah, I've never done it when I'm involved in a civil wrongful death suit. No, I can say that.
No. I can tell you my story though, if you guys want to hear it.
I would love to hear
it. So it's when I was working in corporate many, many, many years ago. And I was dealing with a client, multi-million-dollar client. And it was myself and another girl that I worked with. And we had nicknames for each other. My nickname for her was Bozo. And
I know.
And I thought
oh Lord.
Yeah. And I thought I was replying to her. I accidentally hit reply all.
No.
And all I said was, okay, Bozo, but it went to him. And
I cannot.
The next morning I got called into my manager's office because he called her and he said, Ginny has always been so nice to me. I don't know what happened. And, we were having a pleasant conversation, and then all of a sudden she just replied and called me a bozo.
Oh, no. So much cringe.
It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. I mean, thankfully, he was very, I called him. My manager was just like, look, you can't, don't even call your coworker that via email just in case.
Right.
She was understanding and he was understanding once I called and explained, but that was a really embarrassing conversation.
Yeah.
We had an email alias set up at that company I used to work for where there was a very easy way to type this little sequence that emailed to everyone in the entire company because it was a smaller company then. And somebody had sent out an email to the whole company, like the receptionist or something saying blah, blah, blah. And we had offices all over the place. And these two people that were having an affair hit reply all and started like dirty talking to each other. And we're all just like watching it on the screen and talking to each other. It was like a very Dunder Mifflin moment.
Oh,
And
geez.
My goodness.
It was so bad. And I was the one that had to talk to both of them afterwards.
Yeah, no. I mean, my most embarrassing was somebody that saved like a reply all. And then I worked for a company that was national and they quit to the reply all email. And it was, you can imagine, because it was months. Like it was an email that had been sent months prior. And they clearly were planning it. And it was,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was,
my goodness.
Yeah, imagine that going out to like thousands of emails. So they took, after that happened, they took the ability to reply all off
as they should.
Everyone's corporate wide. I agree with you. You should take that off.
Yeah, always take that off. And they're the same people that went on to have Facebook groups where they use the @everyone all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that was like a power struggle for people, when that became a thing on Facebook for a while.
Bad. It was so bad. Yeah, that was Kate a terrible feature.
I have been so excited for this all week. We have been too. We are thrilled to have Mike come join us, but I'm gonna have to like tell him like his nickname, Big Mike. I mean, I'm Big Red, so I mean, one of us has to win. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about
if James nicknames us Bozo and
right, yeah. What are our nicknames, Jenny?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have to read her diary.
I will reply all and let you know.
Do it.
Yeah. And it was a term of endearment. We loved each other. She was my favorite person at my office. She called me the circus freak. So I mean,
yeah, I get it.
That would have been even funnier if she did it. And you got you circus freak.
I can't even tell you. She never let me live that down. I haven't seen her in years. She would probably still bring it up. She loved it so much. Oh, she was laughing so hard.
I mean,
if I like you, I'm going to call you knucklehead. So I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying to somebody this week, like Herbie was not listening to me and he was outside and it's been snowing here. So he digs and digs and digs. And I'm calling his name and calling his name. He's not answering. And I'm like, all right, knucklehead. And immediately he looks at me and I'm like, do I really say knucklehead that much to you that you are responding to knucklehead instead of your name?
Think it's your name?
Yeah.
That reminds me of
funny.
when my youngest was a toddler. And I remember all of a sudden he walked to the stairs, like the bottom of the stairs, and he's like, babe. And I'm like, is he calling my husband babe? And I was like, that's what I do all the time. I'm like, babe. Dinner's ready or whatever,
Well, I mean, I'm going to say something really embarrassing right now, but I still call my husband dad because I'm used. I was used when the boys were young, calling him dad and daddy. So like, and it drives my kids nuts, but I cannot stop doing it. Like we'll be in public and I'll be like, so dad, and the kids will be like, we are in our 20s. Would you please stop doing that? But I can't, like I'm calling him dad. And like, I don't know. It's just a learn.
What is it? It only takes 3 months to form a habit and you've had how long?
And I'm not getting rid of it. I'll be a 90-year-old woman calling my husband,
That's great.
Yeah. His mother was a no-show for the eviction court on Grant. I heard that living the dream 406.
Has she tweeted at all? Is she okay?
We have not heard from her. We have not seen proof of life. I'm not going to start rumors. It's a very sad situation when you have a parent evicting a child. It's incredibly sad.
No, that's
I don't know how much work Grant has done, but he's been on social media and YouTube the whole time, but I hope it works out between the two of them. Melanie 817 says, I also refer to my husband as dad. I'm right there with you, Melanie. Dad. I'm not gonna, I feel like it's incredibly gross because Aiden has made it gross, but I do call my husband daddy just because when my kids were little, that's what they called him. So I
mean, I still do that with my husband,
yeah.
My little one is still little, but my dad gets confused though, like when we're all together.
Yeah.
He'll answer and I'm like, oh no, I meant,
Yeah.
his
I
dad.
always thought about
husband,
that, like in the grocery store or something, and when your kid's like, Mom, and it's like every woman in the store who has a
turns around.
kid.
Right.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
we're all named the same
Mhm.
thing, so it's kind of funny sometimes.
Well,
Yep.
my kids call my husband Papa. So when
so they're not even calling him
like
dad.
when the kid, and my husband is a plumber. So when I, like with John O'Keefe, when they were talking about his father and they called him Papa and Papa is a plumber, it was like another thing where it was like just like gut punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just gut punch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, while we're here and we are going to be waiting on Big Mike, it might be another while till he shows up. So we were thinking about going through Anonymous's recent analysis of Karen's latest sworn statement. I'm going to bring it up here because
This is the sworn statement that her reply all email was
in response to or
in
something.
response
right?
to.
Correct.
Okay, and she gave a different story than what this response is. Correct?
According to the plan,
At least a
yes.
portion of it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Should I keep it like this or should I make it a little bit smaller where we see more words on the screen?
No, I'd keep it like
Can
that.
we just say anonymous mass lawyer is not Kevin?
He's not
I don't
Kevin.
know. I do not
Get over
know
it.
who it is. I think they're brilliant. I think they're amazing. But it's not Kevin. So anyone thinking that it's not.
They
Kevin
don't
is
even write
also
the
brilliant
same.
and
They
amazing.
don't
No,
write
they
the
don't.
Right.
same.
They don't.
don't write the
They
same.
don't.
And Kevin is
They don't.
very flattered by all the crazy
He
people
is.
who
Yeah.
think that they're the same person, but they're not the same person. And I believe they've spoken with each other, if I'm not
They
mistaken.
have. Yeah. And
And yes,
Maeve
it's also
says
not-
AML is not me either.
Right.
So,
And that's the
yes.
other one.
Right.
Yes. Great
It's
writers.
like the new John
all different
Barron.
people.
Anonymous is the new John Barron. Everybody is him.
And that,
Right.
if you've been following that on Twitter, that's another whole nother story with John Barron and all of that stuff. So, deep breath.
Never a dull
Okay.
moment.
Never.
So I don't know. Is someone going to read
Who wants to
this?
start?
You want me
I
to
can
read?
see if I can take off my glasses and read
I
it.
can read. I can read with my glasses on, if you want me to.
Again,
it.
old.
You want me to read?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As you may have seen, Karen Reed made the news yesterday in a somewhat embarrassing way. Her legal team is attempting to claw back from opposing counsel in the O'Keefe wrongful death case an email that Karen Reed herself inadvertently sent to them when she stupidly replied all to an email from her own counsel.
Can
that
I
she
stop
had
you for
been
a second?
copied on. Yes,
Do we believe it was inadvertent?
I do.
You do?
I mean,
Okay.
I don't have a reason not to. I'll say that.
Okay. It's fair. That's very fair.
Julie, do you not? You think she said something in anger or something and then wants to retract?
Yep. So from watching her behavior in court when things did not go her way and the way she would impulsively react, I think there is a world where it was not inadvertent. And I think there is also a world where it was inadvertent and she was careless. So I think there's a possibility that either one of those things happened. I'm not going to necessarily bet anything on either one of them. She's erratic as far as her actions. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, that's very on brand, the impulsivity, whether she knew what she was doing or not, it's on brand for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, this is a terrible thing for an attorney to do. I mean, every attorney that has talked about this has said, "Oh my God, you never, ever, ever BCC your client on a
Especially with
communication."
someone like Karen, who is
Right.
impulsive and reacts. Like you would think like, nope, we're not doing that, which makes me think she said, you are going to
Yes.
Yeah.
BCC me on this.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
definitely think
that
she's demanded to be
And so,
BCC.
and
leading
somebody
up,
said that.
yeah, and leading up to this, there was a hearing scheduled on 12/19, the 3 days before this happened. On the particular day that this happened, the judge issued an order that was put on the docket a day later that said, "Hey, I'm rescheduling this hearing. Y'all need to work this out.
Oh,
And
right.
by the way, Karen, you wanted this in person because you said it would be too much for the court to handle, but we are more than capable of handling this
Mhm.
via Zoom."
That's right.
So all these things were going on in the background as this occurred.
Which that's so interesting. I didn't know that until you pointed out what the timing was, but
Yep.
that's so interesting because I think we all remember that
Yep.
commentary about what kind of hearing we were going to have.
Yes,
So
because we laughed that she
Yep.
wasn't getting her way.
yeah.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit confused because the last hearing before we knew about reply Almageddon, at the last hearing, that hearing was continued until February 12th. And now this one is going to have its own hearing on February 17th. So I'm not sure if there's still going to be two hearings
I
but
think there will, Lydia, because
because
I
they're
think
separate issues.
these are separate issues. And the other thing I want to point out about what was going on in December is that fundraiser for Karen
Oh,
was
right.
already planned. So I think Karen, and this is just I'm speculating, I don't have any fact. I think she was trying to get the in-person hearing to capitalize on the fundraising effort. So there's a lot of things going on that week in December. And Karen is probably, because she's very controlling, and again, this is just speculation, is at her wit's end when this happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why do
Oh,
you
and
guys
the
think
thing-
that her their YouTube channel hasn't started? I know they were marketing it to
Yep,
start,
so-
I think it was mid-January, right?
Correct.
Fundraiser was a disaster.
And they started talking about that YouTube channel prior to this whole debacle. She did talk about it a few days later and said she wanted to get, the truth out, which, dear God, help you, Karen.
Wouldn't that be great?
And then it just didn't go the way she thought it would.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that Karen could do is shut her mouth.
Yeah, that's been the case for a couple of years, but she hadn't done it.
Nope.
No. The other thing I was going to say about that hearing on the 17th, I believe they requested an in-camera hearing, right? So I think
for this, yes. For the
yeah,
email
so
thing,
there
correct.
definitely will be two separate hearings.
Yes.
Okay, great. Good to know.
Yeah.
For the people that are criticizing the plaintiff's attorney, they're doing everything they can to retain that privilege. But if they have a communication that is different than what she swore to under oath,
Yep.
and she sent it to everyone, they are doing everything they can for their client. Just like a defense attorney should do everything they can to defend their client. The plaintiff's attorney is under no obligation to be like, oh yeah, okay, we'll just ignore it. Like you do whatever. Like, no, they need to fight for
Imagine
their
if it had
too.
been reversed. Imagine
Correct.
if it had been Paul O'Keefe replying
Oh,
all.
Right.
It would have
Right,
been
and
on a blog
saying-
already.
Oh, yeah.
It would have
for
been
sure.
Within minutes,
sure.
it would have been on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick Rocco
and
would
there-
have a tweet.
Yeah. And her
Yeah.
attorneys would be doing the same thing, fighting to
Mhm.
keep it,
course.
fighting to use it.
And I just saw this for the first time today. Maybe some of you have already seen it, but if you want just kind of a sense of Diller, there's actually a really great kind of introductory video, almost like a promotion for the firm and him. But it was a great video, and I think you'll really get like a feeling of what kind of person he is.
Yeah.
And what kind of attorney he is and what his relationship with his clients are, which I won't spoil it, but it was very interesting to me. So you can go check that out. Just go type his name into YouTube and you'll find it. It's
I
really
got to
good.
tell you, from the filings and what I've seen him do in the hearings, I'm very impressed with Mark Diller.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of my female followers, the picture that I posted of Mark Diller,
Yeah.
they were very impressed. But that's not even the half of it. Like in all of his filings, when he has given arguments in court, the O'Keefes have chosen the correct attorney. There have been some commentators that have said that he's not up to the job. Mark Diller is up to the job, and I 100% put my faith in Mark Diller. That man, you're not getting anything past him.
Yeah, and he seems to be a man of character.
Sincere. He is a man of character. He is sincere. Like he's everything.
And Rose thinks he's a babe.
Yeah, he is easy to hide. Yes,
Rose, yeah. You're not wrong, Rose. You're not wrong.
That was a great picture, and that was a really good picture.
Yeah, I didn't realize until the last hearing. I don't know what I was doing the other hearings, but I guess maybe I was just listening and not watching, which I do a lot. Sometimes I'll just listen, not really look at the screen. But yeah, I was watching this last one, and I was like, oh, he's really good looking.
Yeah. Well, he normally has glasses on. And in the picture that I posted, he doesn't have glasses on. But I will all write a note to his wife and say, you did good, sister. You did good.
Yes.
Yeah, but do go check out that video because it gave me a better sense of what kind of a person he is. And, we've all had.
That's okay.
You're in trouble.
Hank is my best friend. Hank will understand. He's my best friend.
We will always love Hank.
We need to see his socks.
Yeah. Hank is, he's the OG. Like no one's replacing Hank.
Yeah, there's no replacement.
Absolutely not.
It's too funny.
Okay, so
back to this.
He goes on. Counsel for the O'Keefe family is arguing that this constitutes a waiver of the attorney-client privilege. Or alternatively, that even if it doesn't, they should be allowed to keep that email for potential impeachment purposes. In other words, they believe they should at least be allowed to confront Reed with the email if she testifies in a way that is inconsistent with it.
I agree.
I agree too. And that, that if is an important if, right? There's a lot hanging on that.
Correct.
How does she not testify inconsistently?
Because
she has so many stories out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll stop interrupting. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I suspect the most likely outcome is that the judge will side with Reed's counsel on the waiver question, but will allow the O'Keefe's counsel to keep a copy of the email and use it for impeachment purposes if necessary. And we saw this in the trial that that waiver is treated so delicately in the courts that a lot of times they will err on the side of the defendant if there is a waiver. So I totally understand why he's saying this. And he has a lot of experience, obviously, in this kind of thing. But it's pretty darn interesting that he also believes that it will become impeachment material.
Well, I mean, I have to say, as someone who dislikes Karen with every cell in my body, I 100% agree with this. And if the judge were to rule this way, I think this is 100%.
Yep.
I think it's equitable to both sides, right? So no, let's not do anything to the attorney-client privilege. But also, if she did say something that is different than what she says under oath, they should be allowed to use that. I 100% agree with this. And I I dislike Karen very, very much.
Yeah.
We'll have a contest later with Mike since he wants a contest.
Oh, believe me, I'm bringing that up because he's got some
Yeah.
stiff competition.
It's going to be like gladiators up in here.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could do like a mutter for like charity.
Yeah,
we
a
could
tough
do that
mutter.
against
Right.
each other. Yeah.
But I'm not putting words in anonymous lawyer's mouth here. This is purely my speculation, what I'm about to say. But we also saw something similar in the trial with Karen's statements to Dateline and Vanity Fair and anybody who would listen. The ruling on those is the way this goes. When a defendant makes a statement, and then that you get to use that. So the state got to use her statements to every media outlet that she spoke to. And this, to me, reads the same way. She made a direct statement directly to the plaintiff's attorneys. And for that reason, because she is the defendant, that is going to be allowed as impeachment material. But again, that's my interpretation. I'm not speaking for him/her.
Well, I agree with you, and we don't affect anything, so we can just like be like, we agree.
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay, but the far more interesting part of this story to me is the exhibit that Reed's counsel attached to their reply brief. As you may remember, I had previously written about the complete inadequacy of Reed's response to the first interrogatory request submitted by the O'Keefes, which was the subject of prior motion practice between the parties. In the reply brief, Reed's counsel includes her entire response to interrogatory number 2 as an exhibit, which is interesting. As a reminder, interrogatories are written requests that the parties submit to each other in the civil litigation context that require written responses submitted under pain and penalty of perjury. So this is why some of you are asking today, when did she make a statement under oath? This is what this is. So when you're doing an interrogatory, you are under oath. It is done under the penalty of perjury. Karen Reed's response to the O'Keefe's second interrogatory is an absolute tour de force of bad faith and nonsense. And it serves as a preview of what we're likely to see when she is eventually deposed. I'm going to go through the response line by line and comment on some of the more egregious parts. And I will say, this is not a person that's prone to hyperbole like I am. If I'm speaking, I'm using hyperbole. This particular writer is not. So I found some of the language in here kind of interesting and how forceful some of these descriptions are. Answer number 2. Ms. Reed objects to this interrogatory to the extent it seeks information outside of her knowledge and possession. She knew a while ago. Just saying. Ms. Reed further
suing. I mean, isn't she suing in federal court?
Yeah.
She doesn't know anything, but she filed a lawsuit. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, she doesn't know anything, right? Except who did it, Steve. Ms. Reed further objects to this interrogatory to the extent that it seeks information subject to the attorney-client privilege or work product doctrine. Ms. Reed also objects to this interrogatory as premature because discovery is just the beginning in this case, and she has not yet received full production from the Massachusetts State Police or the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, among others, which may contain additional evidence or information relevant to her answer. Therefore, Ms. Reed reserves the right to amend or supplement this answer as discovery proceeds, subject to waiving these objections. Ms. Reed states, and then he says, this is all just standard boilerplate objections. The real response starts here. I was acquitted by a jury of all criminal charges, that's not even true, relating to the death of John O'Keefe III after a full and public trial that exposed pervasive investigative misconduct and corruption.
There was no corruption. No corruption.
Yeah.
Michael Proctor, there was a little bit of bias, which I don't blame him. Like, if you found out somebody killed somebody, I would have bad things to say about them too. Like, go ahead, clip it, guys. Like, I'm sorry. But if I had evidence that someone killed someone, I would have bad words to say about them.
Sure.
And this next part is really good because it talks about the difference between corruption and misconduct, which is something that the Free Karen Reed kind of YouTubers seem to harp on. They think misconduct is corruption, and
Right.
it's not.
Correct.
It's not.
Correct. Corruption is something very different.
Mm-hmm. We have an example, but I'll keep that to myself. While I realize this is an article of faith among Karen's supporters, it's not actually true that her trial exposed any corruption. The only credible evidence of misconduct that surfaced in either of Karen's criminal trials were the various text messages that ultimately resulted in Michael Proctor's firing. And the misconduct that those texts revealed had nothing to do with corruption or evidence tampering. The issue is that Proctor used very unprofessional language and shared investigational details with his friends and family. That is misconduct, but it's not corruption and it's not pervasive.
Yes. Oops, sorry. I'm scrolling here. There you go.
I, Karen, did not cause, and I'm not responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death. I did not strike Mr. O'Keefe with my car. Mr. O'Keefe's wounds are inconsistent with being hit by a vehicle and consistent with being in a physical altercation and attacked by a dog. The credible evidence indicates that he was beaten inside the home at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts on the night of January 28 to 29, 2022, and died as a result. So Anonymous says, the use of the word beaten here is bizarre. The term, at least as it's colloquially used, refers to someone being hit repeatedly. Reed's own medical expert identified only one wound, the cut on his temple, that could possibly be consistent with a punch. And even she conceded that the wound could have been caused by just about anything. All of the medical experts agreed that John's fatal skull fracture was caused by falling back and hitting a hard surface. Moreover, there was literally no credible evidence presented at trial that John ever went, quote, inside the home, much less was, quote, beaten there. Not one shred.
So remember, too, is Dr. Welcher did the height test, and the height of the boiler on the back of the SUV was right where that wound was, too. So,
which is something a lot of people on Twitter, including myself, mocked up like early, way in the first trial, of his height versus the height of that, all that information was readily available online. And a lot of people pointed out that's exactly where it would have been.
Yeah. I mean, anything could have happened when you're clipped by a car and you're holding a glass and you're, you kind of rotate and fly backwards, hitting your head. I mean, that cut could come from anything, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are pretty bold statements of Karen's making here.
Yeah.
Below, I describe certain information and facts of which I'm currently aware. However, I believe there are additional facts and additional evidence that I do not possess, which will further support the referenced affirmative defense. To date, I've not engaged experts for a trial in this matter, and therefore the response does not take into consideration their opinions. What is she talking about?
What? Excuse me, Karen? Excuse me? I mean, she went through 2 criminal trials and she hasn't engaged with any experts. Like, what is she flying in, like the tooth fairy next?
And Yannetti standing up there in a pretrial saying she's spent tens of thousands of dollars on experts.
Correct.
Yes. We all saw her. I mean, we saw the documentary where she was sitting there with her attorneys going through everything, the evidence, the expert information. She acts like she acts like she knows nothing about anything, and it couldn't be further than the truth. I mean, even Jackson said he's never had a client that has been so involved with a case as her.
Yep.
But she wants to play dumb.
Yeah. She's just a 100%. Big dumb baby. She doesn't know nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Also, by the way, they drove all the experts to trial. So anyway,
right. She's a babe in the woods, and everyone's
in a nice SUV,
right?
Yeah, correct.
And gave them ham sandwiches,
right? This is interesting. It suggests to me that Reed's legal team does not intend to commission any new expert analysis, that when the time comes, they'll just re-engage their prior experts and reuse their prior reports. So she says, additionally, at trial, I will rely on my attorneys and experts to explain the evidence, the experts that don't exist, what it means, and how it indicates who is responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death. I'll just sit there and listen. Other than knowing I did not hit John with my vehicle and that it was not me who killed Mr. O'Keefe, I am presenting my knowledge solely as a layperson who observed evidence obtained and presented in connection with 2 criminal trials against me.
This is my question real quickly, is when you look at all her statements, she was saying things like she wasn't sure if she hit him. And
Right.
then, at one point, right, David Yannetti was even like, she says if she hit him, it wasn't intentional. So there was this big question mark. So what was it that got her to the point where she's like, I absolutely know I didn't hit him? Was it right when Yannetti said, when she asked Yannetti what her punishment would be if she's held accountable for his death? And he said that, yeah, you're going to be held accountable for it.
Yeah, I think it was when Karen realized people would look at her differently. I think Karen, and she said it, she has said it in public speeches, her reputation means everything to her. So she does not want to be looked at as the woman who got drunk and backed up into her boyfriend. That's my personal opinion. She's more concerned with her reputation, which is not character, it's your reputation. You should not be concerned about your reputation. You should be concerned about what you're doing as a human being, which is your character. But Karen's concerned about her reputation. That's what Karen is concerned about. She does not want anyone to think that she did this, that she got drunk and backed up in a rage. And that is why she is doing all of this. I think ultimately this is going to be her undoing. Like, how are you going to, like, Karen, how are you going to do this? You filed an action as a plaintiff. You're a defendant in an action. Like we all know there's probably more civil actions coming. How are you going to handle all these things? At some point, the truth is going to give way. You can't possibly keep up this farce as long as you think you can. She should have just went away quietly after she was acquitted. She should have just went away. And instead, Karen is like, no. Everyone, my reputation means everything above anything else. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do all this stuff. Well, you get what you get, sister. Like it's all coming to you. Sorry. I think I went on a tangent there, but
No, yeah.
Oh, it's good. Okay.
This went off the rails.
You went off the rails.
Yeah,
this is
off
where
the
things
rail.
really start to go off the rails.
It does get frustrating though,
Yeah. It's very frustrating. Just own it, or either just own it or just go away quietly. Like
she kind of pigeonholed herself, right? I mean, when you think about O.J. Simpson, he didn't blame anyone else for the crime, right? They went about it a little bit differently. Where here, she accused everybody. So now that she's acquitted, it's almost like she's cornered into having to continue the charade a bit. I mean, it's not smart of her. She could just carry on with her life and whatnot. But I think,
or she could have settled, which is what the judge told her to do.
Right.
And I think the smartest defense Karen could have had would have been, hey, look, he got out of my car, he slipped and he fell and he hit his head. I had nothing to do with it. And she would have been free as a bird right now. But instead, Karen has a very vindictive personality. And anyone that says anything she does not agree with, Karen is going to attack. And she's going to get every bit of that right back at her, which is a stupid way to live life, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
When you can kind of hear it in some of the things she said, like, that I thought I was going to feel really free and I don't. And,
Mhm.
as long as I'm doing lawyer stuff, like I'm happy.
Yep.
It's strange.
And she is not a lawyer. She's
No.
just, yeah. I'm not a lawyer. Lydia's not a lawyer. Jenny's not a
No.
lawyer. Tuesday's not a lawyer. Carrie's not a lawyer.
What?
As much as Mark Betterow tries to demean us and say we're acting like lawyers, none of us have ever said we're lawyers. So there you go.
You know
And
what?
neither is
Betterow
Karen
should
Reed.
act like a lawyer.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah, he really should act like a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The pretense here is that Karen is just a layperson trying to convey her understanding of what the various experts testified to at trial. So if she badly misstates their opinions or testimony, that's not perjury. It's just a layperson's honest misunderstanding. As you'll see, this is really stretching the bounds of good faith, given that Karen is not an idiot, and these are all lawyer-crafted written responses.
Wow.
During my criminal trials, this is Karen again, sorry. During my criminal trials, multiple witnesses provided testimony supporting their affirmative defense. First, my counsel engaged in a private investigator who took photographs of a cement-ridged curb just inside the garage.
Oh,
And the
we saw that.
pathology expert my counsel engaged opined that Mr. O'Keefe's head wound came from a ridged ledge.
After she saw the pictures.
Right.
I cannot believe she's going here.
I can't either. She's throwing the entire kitchen sink at this statement, at this interrogatory. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
He physically could not even be in that garage.
No,
Correct. Based on the steps. Correct.
So he says, while this is at least an accurate characterization of Dr. La Posada's testimony, as dubious as it was, remember, both the ME and Dr. Wolf disagreed with it, testifying that a flat surface likely caused the fracture. The photographs Karen is referring to here were so irrelevant and prejudicial, they weren't even allowed in as evidence in her trial. And again, there was zero credible evidence presented that John ever went in the garage, and a lot of evidence proving otherwise. So she says, furthermore, this part is hilarious if you haven't read this yet. Furthermore, 3 separate doctors testified over the course of the 2 criminal trials that Mr. O'Keefe's arm wounds were consistent with an animal attack. And so he says, I'm not sure who the third witness she's referring to is, because I did the same double take. I was like, 3? What are you talking about? In addition to Dr. Russell, Dr. La Posada did make a very brief and limited statement about consistency. Karen may be referring to something Dr. Scorti-Bello, the medical examiner, said during cross-examination. If so, that's pretty deceptive, given that she never believed that John's arm injuries were caused by an animal. An assessment the medical examiner used by the feds agreed with. So a different medical examiner that the federal investigation.
She could have been counting the dog doctor lady's first testimony as one opinion, and then her other testimony as a new opinion. Or her.
Oh, you know who she might be thinking of? That Instagram guy.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the trial.
He's not a doctor. He's just a dog trainer.
Oh,
no.
Really? No, he's not a doctor.
That guy's
he's the guy in the hot
I
dog
hope
suit.
that's not who she's referring to. I mean, remember that silly
video
Instagram reel that he had? Like, that guy is not
bad.
serious. Like,
No, he's a problem.
That's why they didn't call him. So if you're FKR and you're listening to this, that is why the defense did not call him. He is not a serious person.
Yeah.
They would show up in his
Fed
hot dog
ME
suit.
said it was not a dog. She's 100% correct.
Yep.
Yeah, she's 100% correct. The Fed ME said it is not consistent with a dog attack. And let's be serious. Like, there was no dog DNA. So what dog attacks, bites, whatever it is, and leaves no DNA? No dog in this world. What is he, like some Interpol dog that is in like plastic that doesn't leave anything? Come on, Karen. Like, there's no way.
The dog had a mouth glove on, Julie. You're just not thinking hard
Oh,
enough.
sorry. And he's the one that on his little sack, like he had a sack on the back, and he brought the Faraday bag, right?
Right.
And yeah.
Now you're getting it. Now you're
Yeah,
coming around.
Yeah. It's a
Okay, so
movie.
she says, and my understanding is the owners of the house at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Brian and Nicole Albert, testified in the first criminal trial that the Alberts' dog Chloe never went out into the front yard. Therefore, I believe Mr. O'Keefe was inside with Chloe.
So,
Good job,
okay, so
Karen.
hold on. So is she saying then that Chloe was in the garage?
Yeah. How did she get
Because
there?
John hit his head on the little ledge in the garage.
Right.
According to her.
So
But
we're
so
gonna
Chlo-
put
this-
we're gonna put the dog that we have to execute later into the freezing cold garage
Mhm.
with John, and we're gonna go outside to do that, right? Because we got to go outside, go into the garage.
Yes,
You're
there's no
100%
door
correct.
connecting the house.
So we're taking the dog from upstairs, bringing the dog down the stairs, going outside, going into the garage. And who knows the sequence of events? If the 40-year-old red paint went down first, or the dog attacked him, or I mean, it's getting worse. It's clearly getting
Yeah.
worse.
This
This
is
story.
Yeah, I
bad.
gotta say,
This is really
whenever my
bad.
dog has to go to the bathroom, I just take him out to the garage. I mean, I might not be Nurse Kim,
I was going to
but-
say Nurse
but
Kim does.
that's what I do. Like, no one does that. You don't put your
No.
dog in the garage when
And it was
it has to go to the bathroom.
The whole entire thing reminds me of like when your child gets caught doing something and you already know you already know they're guilty of it and they're trying to explain their way out of it and they just start
It's
trying to make
wilder.
excuses
And you're so
for all these
disappointed.
things.
You're like, why are you lying? Like,
Right. Like, why do you, yeah, it's at this point, I mean, any case can do this, what Karen's doing right now. Any person can just be like, no, you know, a dog came out and did it, you know, even though there's tiny shards of plastic taillight embedded in his clothing for crying out
Right.
loud.
you know, when you say that, like a dog came out and did it, like, I mean, like, listen to that, guys. Like, it sounds so ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. Like, no, the aliens came down and they
Right.
did that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, it's absolute ridiculousness that she came up with this. Like,
I mean, she probably blamed the dog on eating her homework in elementary school.
or
Like
her
this-
mother did, because her mother is the one that came up with the dog bites without even seeing the wounds. So let's go back to that. Janet Reed listened to a description of the wounds and said it sounds like dog bites. She didn't even see it. And then after they went through all this stuff and Karen came up with all this stuff, David Yannetti filed those autopsy photos without impoundment. And David Yannetti is a former prosecutor, and he knows full well those photos needed to be filed with impoundment, and he did not do it. So he did not file the autopsy photos with impoundment for a specific reason. I mean, and David, you can come and you can tell me I'm wrong, but Karen said it. Karen said, everyone needs to see those wounds because that proves I didn't do it.
Right.
It was purposeful, and it's disgusting.
Yep.
Those aren't dog wounds. I'm sorry. There is no dog that bites or attacks and doesn't leave DNA. We know from Terry Kuhn, there was no dog DNA on John O'Keefe.
And there was no saliva either. They
Correct.
used the special lighting. And that's something that gets under mentioned is that not only was there no DNA, but they used a special light to see if there was any kind of fluid there to show saliva. And when dogs are anxious or when they're angry, it is well known that they salivate more.
Yep.
And
Cats.
so it would be absolutely bizarre for a dog bite attack not only to not have DNA, but not to have a drip of saliva on the bites, and the bites being abrasions. I mean, surface level scratches. The whole thing just doesn't make sense. if a dog jumped on him, he would also bruise. And we go back to this all the time. So what would be the answer, the most logical solution of why John did not have bruising on his arm? It would be because he was in cold temps, ice, snow, and his blood vessels were constricting, just like, hindering onset bruising. You are given ice. This is the most logical explanation, and it also coincides with her reversing and all the text stream data and just the Occam's razor appearance of everything. So it's maddening, really, that people actually think it had to be dog bites when there's not even a puncture wound.
No. Do we have a crown for Tuesday? Is there like a crown we can put on Tuesday's picture? Like for that
a crown?
Answer? Like we need a crown, like some crown we can put on her, because it's so true. I mean, you hit it all. Like I can't believe that there are people that believe that those surface level wounds are dog bites or dog scratches. Like, dear God, dear God.
And this comment here is like, if you've lived in a cold place and you've never heard of frostbite and why frostbite gets to your extremities first, because your blood supply is going back to center mass so that you don't die. That's just like, you need some more life experience. You probably shouldn't be living in Massachusetts. You could just go read some Jack London and figure it out. But anyway,
I think that
it's honestly kind of, it's to me, it's also, if I was someone following her and believing her, I would be upset that she thinks so little of me to put this kind of information out. And, like, she really thinks these people are dumb. Like, I mean, this shows you right here. She has faith that they'll believe anything she says, but she also thinks they're dumb, because this is embarrassing. Like this is, to put something like this in here and to stick with this for so long.
It's so bad.
It's so really bad.
Can we wait? Hold on. Can we talk for a moment about Aiden Turtle Boy putting Tupperware lids in the snow last week?
No.
And he's like, "Look, as if those are, the shards of plastic so easy to find in the snow." I mean,
and so one of the things that they love to do in FKR is they love to say, "Oh my God, look, they found all this stuff when with the leaf blower with John." They looked in two different places when they found the things around John and when they found the taillight. The taillight was found on the roadway. And so for all of you people that are saying, "Oh my God, why did they get all this taillight over 2-3 week period?" When CERT was out there originally and they tried to dig in the yard, they had a very difficult time because of the grass. So they decided to stop. So what MSP did was they were like, "Okay, fine. It's difficult to dig in the yard. We got this stuff out of the roadway." That was the first night. "We're going to allow the snow to melt, and then we're going to get the rest of the pieces." And you knuckleheads, and that's a term of endearment because that's what I call my dog. You knuckleheads, otherwise I would call you jackwagons. You knuckleheads think that this is something nefarious. No. Is it the best route? I don't know. I'm not an investigator, but what they decided to do based on what the problems that CERT had that first night is they allowed the snow to melt and then they collected the evidence. It is nothing nefarious. There is no quote unquote corruption going on. They just waited. You can call them lazy if you want to say that was a lazy way to collect evidence. Fine. You know what? Fair. That's what they did. Nothing was wrong with that. Sorry.
Amen.
You're good.
Amen.
I just want to answer one comment. We do have the chat slowed a little bit just so that it's not like scrolling by so quickly that we or you can't read it. So you're not in timeout. It's just that we have it slowed a little bit, so you can only make a comment every few seconds.
Yeah, mine is.
And that's just for readability. So you're not in trouble.
We love
Sorry.
you all.
Yeah,
We love you.
It's all good.
You're in trouble.
If you're in
I'm
trouble,
always
you
in
just be
trouble.
gone, because I would just delete you. Okay, so Anonymous says the logic here is painfully bad. The claim is that because some paid witnesses claimed that John's wounds were consistent with an animal attack, and because an animal lived inside 34 Fairview, therefore John was attacked by that specific animal. It's as if Chloe is the only animal that exists in the world, and there isn't a bunch of hard digital evidence making it clear that John never went inside the house. And so then Karen comes back with, next, Ian Whiffen, the Commonwealth's own witness, confirmed Mr. O'Keefe's Apple Health data showing 3 flights of stairs were climbed after 12:20 a.m.
I can't believe she brought the steps up.
Julie just fainted. We just lost
I'm
Julie.
out. Like,
It's so bad. It's so bad. The
I
Apple
mean, even I'm sure he's going to talk about it. I'll say even their own tech expert,
Right.
Richard
says
Green.
that didn't happen.
that they didn't call in the second trial. Like we already know the reason why the flights were registered, Karen. Like you can't repackage this. Like the truth is out. Like it's out there. And you Karen did not rebut it during your second trial. You said the data is the data. So no flights of stairs were climbed, sister.
Right. Mm-hmm. The Apple Health, and remember in one of the documentaries, I don't remember which one, I found it very unnerving, the expression on her face when she said this, but she at some point said she was like studying John's Apple Health data, and she was kind of like
Daniel's interview. I remember that, and it literally haunts me.
Yeah,
she studied
same.
not only his Apple Health data, she has said, and I don't know if it was in that same interview, but she has said she studied the autopsy photos.
Yes.
And guys, I got to tell you, like, you didn't see all of them. The fact that this woman was poring over those photos.
So gross.
So
unbelievable.
Didn't she also say that she has looked at John's heart rate?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That and there's no way she saw that because he didn't have an Apple Watch. She's lying through her
okay. I see what you're saying.
And she has what do you call those? The braces. She's lying through her
Invisalign.
Her Invisalign teeth. Aaron
that
Reed,
are not
once again.
Invisa, by the way.
Yeah, her Invisa teeth. She's a liar.
That was so random how she got Invisalign in the middle of trial, like
bizarre.
Well,
before her.
I mean, Tuesday, don't you need to look like your best when you're on trial for murder? Like, isn't that your first thought? Like,
right?
Oh my
$1,000 outfits.
Yes.
Yeah,
it must be.
Okay.
She was trying to impress Kononi. Remember how upset she was that she was complimented on how she was
great
dressing
today, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the last time I wore an outfit that was $1,000 or more was my wedding.
Your wedding, right? Your wedding.
Yeah.
I don't even think it comes near that at all, ever.
No way. I would much rather.
No, I'm like, hey, this dress was X amount of dollars, and I got it for X amount of dollars.
Yes.
Like that's me. Yeah, like I'm that person.
Yeah.
Like, look at this $200 dress I got for $90. Like, it's great.
Right.
Okay. Then she says the Apple Health data also shows Mr. O'Keefe taking enough steps to get inside the house at 34 Fairview Road in Canton. This is where we venture into the realm of extreme bad faith. Mm-hmm. While it is literally true that Whiffen testified that John's Apple Health data reflected 3, quote, flights climbed after 12:20, the point of Whiffen's testimony was that John did not, in fact, climb any actual flights of stairs during this period. That's because all 3, quote, flights were recorded while John was still riding in the passenger seat of Karen's SUV prior to their arrival at 34 Fairview Road at 12:24:38. This was not disputed by Karen's legal team at trial. John did not have an Apple Watch, so the Apple Health data that was recorded came from the exact same phone as the Waze GPS data that proves conclusively that John was still in a moving SUV while these so-called flights were recorded. Now, anyone who has ever played Pokemon Go knew that Karen was lying. Because if you play Pokemon Go, you know that you'll be sitting on the couch and your little character, because you get credit for steps in Pokemon Go. So for all you people who are making fun of me right now, I loved Pokemon Go. And you get credit for steps. And
tell them about how you owned a you-know-what.
Oh, a second cell phone.
Mhm.
I did. I had 2 phones for Pokemon Go. It's true.
Lydia, you're sounding like Aiden Carney with your multiple phones. What are we going to do?
I never did anything naughty with them.
You better wipe
Pokemon
those
Go.
if they ever.
Did
get
you ever
seized.
record anyone? Did you record
not.
what
I
were
did not.
what were those names? Pikachu? Did you record Pikachu, Lita?
I did
Lydia?
probably record Pikachu once or twice. But the thing is, you get credit for distance in this game. This game came out in like 2019. And what would happen, what players started to notice is you would be sitting at home and all of a sudden your character would run like 3 miles because the what are they called? The gyroscopes or whatever is determining distance and positioning, global positioning and all of that inside your iPhone really kind of sucks. It's not very accurate at all. And so we loved it as Pokemon Go players because we get 2 miles for free and then we get an extra little egg or whatever. So I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Even though Tuesday is laughing at me right now, I have some real world knowledge here that I'm sharing with you.
No, I love you. This makes me love you
We
just
all
that
love
much
you.
more. You may have slid down a point or 2 on the cool list.
I know.
But
I never said I
went
was
up
cool.
on the I love you list.
It's so
Guys,
true, Lydia, because people think there has been like this, the data,
Yes.
whatever it is the data. But y'all, you really need to take a step back. Like, these are computers, there can be
Right.
errors and there can be outliers. Stop it. Like, if you do anything with analytics, like I do analytics with my job, there are outliers.
Right.
The fact that you are not making a concession for outliers tells me that you're very ignorant to what computers do, what data does, and what analytics does. I'm sorry.
And like,
guys,
you've never
guys.
ended up at the wrong place with your
Guys,
GPS.
Our
Stop it.
company is here.
I know, I saw.
Oh,
Okay.
yay.
Let's
I'm
add
so-
him to the stage.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey girls, how are you?
Hey, how are
Hey.
you?
How are you? I want to let you know that my wife and kids kicked me out of the house, so I'm doing this in my garage.
Oh no.
Oh,
perfect.
no.
Perfect.
So yeah,
We were
I
just
tried
talking
to.
about the garage.
I tried to mute. I tried to blur out my background, but that's not an option here on this platform.
That's
So-
okay.
Oh, you're
That's nice.
fine.
It looks like you've got workout equipment back there.
Yeah,
What
it
do you got
does.
back there?
It's workout equipment with dust on it.
Stop. So I have to tell you, Mike, I know that your website says that you're Big Mike, but my nickname is Big Red.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna have to like
Have a little
I
competition.
am barely 5'3" and I am not physically imposing. However, we're gonna have a war over
We are.
who's
We are.
bigger.
Listen, I'm not gonna mess with you. I will say something in my defense. I got a trademark on it. So you know.
Do I need to trademark it? Because
Yeah.
Aiden
You'll
Carney
beat me.
gave me that nickname, and so maybe
You'll
I
beat
need
me
to
every
trademark it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll beat me every time. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
mess with you. I'm not gonna mess with
I
you.
will say, like, my husband watches all of this, and he said to me, like, when all of this was going on, and I got that nickname, and people were calling me that nickname, he's like, you know what, Jewel? The only thing I have to say is, just like the gum, Big Red lasts longer. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's great. That's great.
Hey, he's a smart man.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get hammered a lot in my house on the Big Mike thing. So trust me,
love
I'm not a stranger to being roasted for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should
Well,
we
we
play the
before you-
40-second intro
should.
again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, we
you
got
gotta
to
share
see
it.
our intro.
Sure,
gotta
let's
do
do
it.
it. Let's do
All
it.
right.
Michael, tell us what you first thing about Karen Reed and what you thought about this hearing.
In terms of what I think about Karen Reed, if there was a competition for who hates Karen Reed the most, I would crawl over broken glass to join that competition. I would win that competition. I would hang up the trophy on the mantle where I watch TV at the end of the day so I could see it every single day.
This is why you're everybody's favorite.
Yes.
That's pretty funny. That's something I would say. I don't think that was AI. I think that was really me.
It was really you.
Yeah.
It was,
It was really you.
And
Yeah.
also, I remember
That is
fondly
the
when you
whole
called her a
reason we-
malignant narcissist.
Yes.
She's so, yeah. Listen, I've
Bingo.
gotten in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I've gotten in a lot of trouble by fellow defense attorneys. And like, hey, when you turn to the other side, and I'm like, dude, we represented people like her our whole careers. We know people like her. She's a complete I mean, I could go on and on. I put this case out of my mind. This is the first time I've been asked that I've accepted an invitation to talk about this case since it was done with. I've declined a lot of invitations, but I like you guys. When I got the email, I said, you know what, this is going to be pretty cool, be fun. But I couldn't get myself to get caught up on the case. I'm going to have to soon because we're going to cover it on Court TV, the civil case. But I really hope this girl, gets found responsible, in the civil case. And it would be really cool because they would garnish all of her proceeds from her new fame, and she won't see a penny of it because this is it's crazy. Do any of you guys live in Massachusetts?
Mm-mm. Well,
the one
Not any of us.
does.
Yeah.
Carrie's not on tonight, but she does. Carrie does, yeah.
So none of you guys live in Massachusetts, right?
Nope.
No.
I've spoken to people in Massachusetts, and I've asked them, hey, one lady, she worked at a shipping company. I wasn't talking to her about the case, and I said, hey, do you live in? I said, what do you think about the Karen Reed case? Oh, she's innocent. I said, why? She's like, well, I know the Alpers. I know them well. I grew up in Canton, and so I think I think this whole thing is made up. You don't understand. It's just different here. And I was like, hey, Valerie, I guess it is, but it's nuts. There was a lawyer. We went out to a dinner, and there was a case manager at the dinner in Michigan. And then the case was brought up. He said, I saw your take on the Karen Reed case. And what do you think? Said, well, no, I mean, I think she's innocent. And so the lawyer at the table looked at me and said, oh, why do you think she's guilty? I said, Mark, let's just exercise common sense. He was found dead at the scene of where she dropped him off. She's the only person who saw him. She's the last person who saw him. The data from her car shows that she backed up right to where he was, and her broken taillight was found. Shards of it were found in his clothing where she would have hit him. Then he looked at the other like, so is that true? She's like, yeah, but we think that the police planted it there. So we all bursted out laughing. So I don't know. So what's happening right now with the case? So what's going on? It's like, I've completely blocked this case. I got to get caught up on it.
It has not gotten any better. Let me tell you.
Yeah, we've got the civil filings, right? So the O'Keefes are suing for wrongful death, and Karen answered the interrogatories. And according to the plaintiff's attorneys, her answers were incomplete, right? So she's making accusations, but she's not giving the factual basis. So apparently the judge said there was a hearing scheduled on 12/19, and on 12/16, the judge said, hey, you haven't done the work here. You need to do more work. You need to narrow the issues. And he issued an order continuing the hearing. And so on that day, the attorneys for the plaintiffs and the attorneys for Karen Reed were exchanging emails about this particular issue. And so the plaintiff's attorney had said that Karen Reed had leaked evidence, and they were taking issue with that as far as the interrogatories and Karen's insufficient answer. And apparently Karen's attorneys had blind copied her on that email. So Karen saw the email, and Karen hit reply all, and she answered the email, and it went to the plaintiff's attorneys. And the plaintiff's attorney's contention is that Karen gave an answer with factual allegations, and her answer to that email was inconsistent with her under oath interrogatory answer.
Yeah.
And they want to keep the email. And 40 minutes later, Karen's attorney said, hey, you weren't supposed to get that email. That was a mistake. That was inadvertent, and you need to destroy it. And the plaintiff's attorneys were like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not,
They don't
we're
have
not
to.
doing that.
Right.
We're
They
not
don't have to.
doing it. Not
No,
doing
they
it.
don't
Yeah,
have to.
we wanted to know
Yeah.
what you thought about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine lie.
They're going to dice her up. So here's the thing. They're going to dice her up. So I had emailed Ginny that, I was late here because a meeting I had started 45 minutes later than it was supposed to. And it was about a case exactly like this, where I took over the case and I had a meeting with the old attorneys and with my team. And what I was going to present at the meeting was, hey, you guys did not do a good job in discovery. I'm going to redo discovery and send out interrogatories, right? Now, Michigan law is different than, Massachusetts law, but a lot of it is very similar. And so the whole entire case hinges on bad discovery, bad interrogatories. And it would be a dream if I were to send out discovery in this case, and then the defendant responds with any type of answer, because it would be admissible. And so Karen Reed, in her narcissism, here's what happens with a person like Karen Reed in close quarters. I promise you, without me being in those rooms, I know exactly how it goes. And this is why her criminal attorneys didn't stay on for the civil case, right? They did the right thing. It's not what they do, but also the burden is lower. And they probably got sick and tired of her narcissism. There's no way her attorneys think she's innocent. There's just no way.
No.
There's no way. Yeah. So what happens is, in the civil case, she's educating her attorneys and telling them, you got to look at this and you got to look at that. You know how many times us lawyers have to talk to dumb clients saying dumb things? And some of them are like the most educated people, and they get really dumb when it comes to a separation, when they're about to lose money, and they get really, really ignorant. So with Karen Reed, it's probably like this. You guys aren't looking harder. You guys got to look at this. Just tell them that, or just tell them that. And her defense attorneys are telling you, hey, listen, young lady, this is a civil case. We can't tell them anything. You have no right. You have no rights. You got to answer these questions under oath. And by the way, if you don't answer them, you're going to get a directed verdict. Like, you're going to be responsible for $50 million, right? Because I have not looked at the case, but I promise you, I can close my eyes and tell you exactly what the plaintiffs are doing. Loss of consortium on behalf of both kids, on both parents, on all the siblings. I forget, John O'Keefe had a brother, and I think other siblings. I could be wrong. I know he had a brother. So the brother has a claim. If he has any other siblings have a claim, both parents
He
have
has
a
a
claim.
brother and his parents, and then the sister has passed away.
His sister passed away.
The
so
sister's
it's just
is
the brother.
And he
kids
was
have
raising
a-
the
But
two
her
children.
He was raising the
his
two. Yeah, he
sister's
was raising the
children.
two. Yeah, he was raising the two
Yes.
kids. They
Yeah.
both have a claim, and they have a bigger claim than anybody. Okay. And each one of them has at least a 7-figure claim, if not potentially an 8-figure claim, right? Because, hey, if you're found responsible, like more than 50%, you killed this guy, and now his niece and nephew, who lost an adopted parent, siblings, and his parents lost, you're talking about a $30-40 million judgment. I think Karen Reed has money. So it's going to be really, really enjoyable. I'm waiting. I can't wait for them to call me back on Court TV and say, we're ready to analyze this case. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We can't wait
can't
until
wait.
you're on there either.
Yeah.
Yeah. More clips.
It's going to be
Yeah.
fun.
There.
Yeah.
That gave us life.
Yeah. So what do you like? What do you guys get like a lot of flack? Like, because my understanding
God,
is the majority of people who analyze this case online, like there's like YouTube pages where like they burn my face, and it's really funny.
Oh, yeah.
My wife loves them.
Yeah.
But you guys probably get a lot of hate.
We
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Solid hate.
We've gotten
24 hours
Oh
a day.
God. I mean,
death threats. Yeah,
Death
we've gotten
threats.
it all.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
actually
spent the
was-
week.
Ties to it.
We were hacked
Yeah, I
by
spent
a
the
witch.
week.
Like, there's a photo
Yeah.
of a witch that wrote down all of our names, and she has her cat.
Yeah.
And so we were also hacked.
And
So,
I
yeah.
don't know if it has anything to do with this, but I've spent the week with people trying to hack every account that I have. So
Wow.
it could just be random, but yeah. I
I
was
know
telling the ladies
too-
last night, like every account I had, they were trying to hack.
Yeah.
It's awful. And I know too is I was reached out to to speak on a news station as well. And I didn't during the trial. And I was told they were having a really hard time getting attorneys to talk about how they think Karen is guilty because of the lashback, because people were, spam reviewing their businesses or, just going at them. I mean, this is how insane this mob was that she helped nurture. And it's like they just went and they dehumanized the witnesses so hard in the media that, I mean, it was just impossible to speak up and be safe. So
yeah, I can see that.
Your voice was a breath of fresh air on Court TV. And Kevin
really
too,
was.
Linehan. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we first heard you, we all were like messaging each other. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Oh my gosh. Like, he's one
I'm sorry,
of us.
I can't hear Ginny. Is it just me?
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah,
You're a little
I can hear you.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything you said, Ginny. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, I remember the first time we heard you talk about the case and talk about Karen, we were all like messaging
So I
each
can't
other.
hear. Can you guys hear me? I can hear all you guys. I just can't hear when Ginny talks.
That's so
How
weird.
weird. I can hear Ginny. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect. Yeah, I can hear you perfect. Yeah.
That's so weird.
So Jenny's saying, like, the first time we heard you speak, we were all like, oh my God, like he's saying everything. He said it all. Like it gave all of us life because we're listening to all this stuff and these people are going along with Karen's ridiculousness. I've got to find another word besides ridiculousness, but media, like all of these attorneys were going along with her story and it's bullshit. I'm sorry, but it's all bullshit.
I think the majority of attorneys believed she was guilty. And I'm not going to speak on behalf of anybody at Court TV, but I got to give them a lot of credit because they got a lot of flack for their coverage, and they did amazing coverage of the case because they have to show both sides and they have to be fair and they have to be balanced. So they got a ton of flack, and here's why. This is what people at Court TV say, like, this case is different. So a lot of people, there were so many people that if you said anything, not even negative about Karen Reed, but anything where like, we got to see how the evidence shakes out, they just pilloried you, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the second case, what I said before it started was, we have a standard where, Hank Brennan has to prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt, but he knows that that's not going to be enough in this case. In the second case, he's got to prove his case beyond a delusional doubt, right? And I don't think he's going to do it. And then, unfortunately, after she got acquitted in the second case, these jurors came out, and it just bothered me. One of them was supposedly a lawyer in Brazil, and she said, I didn't look at all the information outside of the court. But I acquitted her because I don't think John O'Keefe died in the house. I think he went in the house. So I thought to myself, you idiot. Where did you get that from? That was not introduced into evidence in the second trial. The defense didn't even introduce it. They gave up on that. The judge didn't stand up and say, hey, I want to let you guys know you're instructed to consider the fact that he went in the house. No one presented any evidence that he went in the house, not even the defense. No one presented that. So where did you get that from? I know where you got it from. You got it from the conspiracy merchants, online. You clearly went online. You pretend to be a lawyer. You're not a lawyer. It doesn't matter that you're not a lawyer. They said, you're just an idiot. Like you said in an interview on TV that you looked at the evidence that was presented in the house and you think he went in the house. No one presented any evidence or any data that he went in the house. In the first trial they did, and the conspiracy merchants picked it up, but nobody presented any evidence that he was in. And another juror said, it was not 100%, it was like 99% that she killed him. Right. And so I couldn't, well, that's not the standard. Again, beyond a delusional doubt, that is the standard. So
well, he also said, that juror also said, the male juror said that if manslaughter was on the table, they probably would have gone with that. And I'm like, what? Manslaughter was on the table.
And so that juror sold his story within minutes of the verdict. The juror that Mike is talking about, the woman, went on Aiden Carney's YouTube show.
Mhm.
So, and
Turtle Boy.
she
She
said
also
that
referenced the witness from the first trial that wasn't in the second trial.
Yep.
correct. And she also
Yep.
said we did, and they all said this in their own way, we did what we thought the public wanted. That is
Mhm.
not justice. That is not a courtroom. A courtroom is not a popular election. It is not like political elections. The courtroom is about truth. It is
Yeah.
not, what
Yeah.
everybody thinks is whatever. And so I think it's really terrible what happened here.
Well, she
Very
also
sad.
on Twitter has made quite a few comments. One of them being that she told the other jurors that Karen was so amazing. Something about her advocating for herself. Wasn't that right,
She did.
Julie?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
did
she
that.
was
And that she
during
should
the
become
trial.
she should become an attorney. Yeah.
This
Correct.
this woman killed this man. There is no evidence to doubt that. All the evidence conclusively showed that she was right there. I mean, I was so impressed with Hank Brennan in the second case. I was impressed with the prosecutor in the first case, right? Obviously, Hank Brennan did a much better job. How could you do a much better job and the other guy didn't get a verdict? The second guy
Yeah.
got like acquitted almost right away.
Wow.
It's because the public pressure built up. Look, I don't know
Yep.
how you guys feel, for example, about like the Donna Adelson case. I don't want to go on a tangent, but on 2020 they ran me about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they ran me on 2020 in my analysis of the Donna Adelson. I found out about it after the fact. My friends texted me, and I thought that the case against her was not proven. I'm not saying she's a great person. She might be the best person, might be the worst. But what I tell my clients is when you go into a jury situation, you're going into a casino, right? It's a
Yep.
roll of the dice. There are tons of cases that are proven and a person gets an acquittal and vice versa. In the Karen Reed case, it does take the cake. Like the Donna Adelson case, I put that in the category of the Melody Ferris, the lady in Georgia. She clearly, the case against her was not proven, right? And it's sad because there's some people where the case is just proven and they walk. And then there's some people where there's no case against them, none. And they get convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, And so but the Karen Reed case is different. It's unique and it sucks. But I'm rooting for the family in the civil case. I think the civil case, I think she's gonna be found responsible.
Yeah. It's a different ballpark.
I mean, I just
Can you
don't
hear
feel
me?
like is it more like if they can get they got to get like the majority of the jurors to say it's highly unlikely she ever even did this. I mean,
Right.
But then again, there was a poll I saw on Court TV where I forget what it was. It's somewhere like the overwhelming, like 80% of people think she's factually innocent. Not that the case isn't proven,
Right.
but factually innocent. That's like a mass delusion in Massachusetts about this case.
So I will tell you, Mike, that came from Karen Reed's father. And so when Aiden Carding got involved in the case, they had like a gathering around the courthouse in 2023, when he first got involved. I want to say it was September, and it was William Reed on a bullhorn that told that crowd that his daughter was factually innocent. That is where that came from. It was her father.
Yeah, that's so sad. And I definitely disagree with him. But at the end of the day, those jurors, they made a huge mistake, because you know what really happened in that case was Hank Brennan proved the case and the jurors made a decision to acquit her. And that is just so awful. That is just so bad. It's so grotesque.
And that's what their goal was, right? I mean, that's why her team marketed the conspiracy like crazy before the trial. There was a Vanity Fair article. I don't know if you read it, but there was a 2-part long form. I think it was like 60 pages altogether. And in the article, she's saying that adding Jenny back in, she was saying, I'm here to tell the truth. And she omitted all the stuff that was incriminating. to her,
Yeah.
you know, including just the fact that people said they heard her say, I hit him. I mean, that's nowhere in the article at all. And
Right.
it's like, if truth is on your side, you don't need to dance around any of the information, right? You hit it head on and you say,
Yeah.
this is this is that, you know, and you explain it. But I mean, the text stream data alone, especially in trial 2, they were able to pull up more data. I mean, she couldn't fight it. So, you know, and the people who are very huge advocates for her, you try and sit down and have a conversation with them about the data and about the details, and they can't explain it. And so my concern is here, and I'm curious on your opinion on this, is there are a lot of law tubers who stream trials. That's kind of their thing that they do. But I've noticed that there are a few that do it with a caveat, as they're, you know, they're giving their defense attorney goggles as they're streaming these trials. And I really truly believe this is what happened in the Karen Reed case. This is like a lot of Karen's team reached out to these YouTubers. They were celebrating them with dinner party. They were, I mean, they made them part of the team. And so the message multiplied, the marketing they did on this to make a community of people believe in a 20-person conspiracy
Yeah. Mhm.
was from the team alone, right?
Yeah. So, and it was even more than a 20-person conspiracy. I think once we counted it, it was like a 38-person would have had to been a 38-page conspiracy. So here's how I want to answer what you said. So I think her defense team did exactly what a defense team should do, but it shouldn't have worked. It was the fault of that community for ganging up on the O'Keefe family, right? Alan Jackson did exactly what I would have done. Believe me, there is nothing better to a defense attorney than to have the aid of to have the public aid you in your defense. When we go to law school, like there was like a Supreme Court justice who had like an anecdote. I got to pull it up where he said, your job as a defense attorney is to fight viciously to get every single client acquitted and do anything you can within the bounds of the law. But your job as a prosecutor is to not do that. It's to seek justice and truth, even if that means you got to let a person go, right? Mm-hmm. But what is created is this competitive system. But the defense attorneys are going to do everything they can. I think Alan Jackson and his team got to the line. They crossed the line a couple of times. And I also predicted that they would have some issues with their license. There was one instance where they lied about a witness's objectivity. That's crossing the line, right? But everything they did, where they did these like charity dinners, like to raise money for her defense, and they would, you know, put on aprons and make dinners for people and charge them. I would have done all of that. I would have done more of that. I would have done exactly what they did. And I would have been looking in the mirror at the end of the day saying, I think this is going to work. I can't believe it. I don't think it's going to work, but I think it's going to work. I think once Hank Brennan rested his case, if I was Alan Jackson, I would have privately told myself, my client's cooked. There's no way we're going to overcome that. He put on less witnesses. He had a more concise approach, a systematic approach. He did a flawless prosecution, right? There's a couple of mistakes he made by not having a rebuttal case, but when he rested his case, he did a perfect job. And I forget the mistake. I talked about this big mistake he made by not putting on a rebuttal case. Again, I blocked that out of my mind. It was a few months ago, but he made some big missteps in not having a rebuttal case. But up until then, I mean, the case was proven. But what Alan Jackson and the way his team handled it before the trial, they knew that the only thing they had was to fool a bunch of people that Karen Reed is a victim. Who would, like, how could anybody rationally believe that she was a victim? But yeah, they did a marvelous job, and they knew exactly what their cards were, and they played the only card they have, which is just having absurd people. It's just the interview she had, and Hank Brennan playing her own words.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think what you said, and I appreciate what you said about them crossing the line. I think they crossed a line. So To give you a reference point, Mike, and I talk about this all the time. My son's friend was murdered in our state. So long as you make a statement on the record, the defense can cross-examine you. That means impact statements as well. Never happens. So if you have someone convicted of a crime and a victim gives an impact statement, no one cross-examines them. What happened in our case is the perpetrator tried to claim self-defense. He was a serious violent felon, and he had an enhancement for having a handgun for killing a 19-year-old kid with he shot him in the chest. So he was going to have this enhancement. And so the defense attorney threatened that he was going to cross-examine the mother and the brother of the victim when they gave their impact statement. And he did not do it, but what he was hoping for during the whole trial, he tried to, because it was an affirmative defense and the defendant tried to claim self-defense, he was trying to get a rise out of the victim's family. And he was hoping, this is my opinion, he was hoping by saying, I'm going to cross-examine you on your victim statement, that before we went into court, the victim's family would create some kind of drama outside of the courtroom, which did not happen. It didn't happen. But I think that's exactly what he was doing. And for me, I'm an American. I believe in defense attorneys. I believe they're valuable. I believe that they bring out they're like a check and balance, right? So when someone's charged with a crime and they have to be convicted, the defense attorney is there to tell the government, this is where you messed up. This is where you have to do better. Like that's what it is. Like our system is built as a check and balance, but there are attorneys, defense attorneys, that cross the line. I think when you say to a victim's family and their 19-year-old son is shot to death in front of them, I'm going to cross-examine you on your victim impact statement. When you say the things that Karen Reed's defense attorneys did, you have crossed a line. When you say and you've done the things that her team has done, you've crossed a line as a defense attorney. That's no longer vigorous defense. That's a line that you've crossed.
Yeah, well, they actually violated the rules of ethics by lying about, I forget which witness they said was impartial.
Arca.
Yeah, that's right.
Arca.
And they were not. But Hank Brennan again broke down Arca in front of the jury. He got that guy he got under his skin, and he got him. So we all recall in the second case that Arca witness was being very evasive with admitting, agreeing that he deleted his messages. Now, give me a break. Like you actually believe that you actually want the jury to believe that the reason you deleted the messages was because you had no reason, you had no use for them. That was a complete lie. And the guy was being very snide, and he said, he wouldn't even answer the question that, yes, I deleted them. He asked him, did you delete the messages? His answer was, there was no reason for me to keep messages. But did you delete them? I don't understand the point of your question, but did you delete them? Sir, there's no reason for me to have. So like when the jury sees you refusing to concede a basic point, they know you have an agenda. You're no longer an expert. You're no longer a witness. You have an agenda. Same thing later on in the trial when he asked that doctor, when he cross-examined her, the doctor that
Lapisata.
And she refused to concede basic points. And so the jury knew she had an agenda. When he told her good morning, she said, well, it's afternoon now. She wouldn't even concede the time of the day. Right. So so me as an attorney, I was listening to that. I'm like, I know exactly what he's doing. He's doing the right thing. And if he was in front of a jury that had any type of common sense, he would have won that case. He would have won that case on the basis of those two witnesses alone. You have one witness refusing to agree that he deleted messages, let alone intentionally. And his answer to, did you delete the messages? I had no reason to keep them. If one of your kids was telling you that, they'd be grounded for like that
forever.
Forever. So in front of any jury, if I had a case like that where two witnesses are refusing to concede basic points, I've already won without anyone knowing what I'm going to ask. I would probably stop asking questions. Like, okay, I get it, right? and this was the way the Karen Reed case defense went on, is she had not witnesses or experts, she had groupies who got on the stand, and when Hank Brennan cross-examined them, they bursted. There was no substance to any of them. They all just burst. They all melted. And I hope one day I get to have a beer with Hank Brennan. If we ever do, I'll tell him I'm going to turn off my phone. You turn off your phone. I'm going to lean in and tell him that was complete bullshit, and he'll say, "Yeah, it was." But I don't
we
know.
all want a beer with Hank Brennan as well.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah, I might send him an email after she gets convicted.
You should.
After
You should.
she loses after she loses.
Someone asked you, as an attorney, do you think Karen was overcharged? Do you think the murder charge was an overcharge?
No, I don't think she was overcharged at all. I think she was charged proper. What I heard people say the second time around is, if you did not get a conviction on murder 2, go after her for something lower than murder 2. In hindsight, that would have been the right play. That would have been the right play in hindsight. But she wasn't overcharged. But Hank Brennan is not a prosecutor, and we don't know if he made the decision to keep the charges the same or whether he was told. But either way, she had to be charged again. They had to go after her again. She was not overcharged. But could they have fared better had they came in with some sort of a involuntary? I think, how could you then, at least, because in my mind, it's almost like guaranteed she would have been convicted at a lesser charge. But then again, we don't know. People thought she was factually innocent. They could have charged her with a traffic ticket. Yeah.
But I think if you go 24 miles an hour in reverse at 75% throttle, you're not overcharged for murder 2.
But I will tell you, I think it's kind of the political climate in this country, and I think it's good for defense attorneys. I live in a very red county, so very law and order. And the day before our sentencing in our trial, the prosecutor had a rape case. The defendant was on parole for, he had been in jail for like 10 years for molesting a child. He was accused of raping a woman. He was found not guilty. So they of course, Mike, you probably understand this, and I'm sure everybody else understands this. They were not allowed to tell the jury that he was on parole for the child molestation. And the victim in the case, in the rape case, who was a family friend, testified, and the jury acquitted him of the rape. And so the prosecutor went in, and she was, at this point, the prosecutor was very discouraged about the justice system, because in our case, she's got this defense attorney saying, if you put those victims on the stand, I'm going to cross-examine them. And then she got this loss in this rape case. And she went in and she talked to the jury, and she said, what could I have done? Did you believe the victim? And every single juror said, we believed the victim 100%. What she was saying happened to her, but we wanted more. We wanted more evidence. Yeah. And so, it's even in a very red county where people are like, we're going to convict everybody, and it's law and order. Like, people do not want to convict. And that's the prosecutor left her job. She was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't, after having the defense attorney. And she was like, I've got to face him multiple times. And he did something, in my opinion, ethically, that was incredibly improper to threaten that. And then listening to these juries day after day, I absolutely cannot do this anymore.
Yeah, look, it grinds on you, over time as a defense attorney. Ironically, I had a double rape case where I was defending two people accused of rape. And I got an acquittal. I got an acquittal because, I knew that the complaining victim had served 10 years in prison for attempted murder of her first husband. I was not allowed to introduce it. I still introduced it. I got an acquittal. I knew that those guys were innocent, but I've defended my fair share of people where I knew that they were not innocent, and I would usually gear those people into a plea. But the sharp skin that defense attorneys in this country have developed, it's actually because of the over the overzealous power that federal prosecutors carry. So federal prosecutors are, in my opinion, some of the most evil people, right? Not state prosecutors. State prosecutors, they're guys, and girls like myself, and they went to high school, they played football, they got a job, they went to law school, didn't want to go to medical school, didn't want to pay their debts, so they stayed in school, went to law school, and then they came out of law school and said, you know what, let me take a job at the prosecutor's office.
So can I interrupt you just for a second,
Mhm.
Mike? I mean, one of the things, and I thought it was so profound that my husband said to me when we were sitting there, prosecutors make nothing, right? So like in our county, they're making like $90,000 a year. And we're sitting there the first day of the trial where there were witnesses. And he's like, looking around this courtroom, the people that are actually going to make the decision are making $15 a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so this is what happened in the Karen Reed case, and this is what happens in so many cases where the jury system is the best imperfect system that exists in the world, but it's so imperfect, but it's the best. There's no other country that has a better one, but it's very imperfect, and you have such a variance of outcome, right? Like there was the guy who I analyzed this case out of Florida, like the lady who conspired with him to murder his wife sat on the stand and said, here's how he killed her, here's why he killed her, here's where we buried her, here's why we did it, I was there, he did, and then everything lined up, and he got an acquittal because she was behind on her mortgage payment 20 years ago when she helped him with the murder, and he helped her with the payment, and then he stopped helping her with the payment, and that was enough reasonable doubt, right? Some people say he should have been convicted. I think he should have been convicted, but at least that jury said there's some reasonable doubt that he didn't. There's some, and they acquitted him. Whereas, like in the Donna Adelson case in the same state, there was zero evidence introduced that she had anything to do with the murder. Zero. Not even, they didn't even try. And she gets convicted beyond a reasonable doubt. Then you have Karen Reed. All the evidence was it's an open and shut case beyond a reasonable doubt. She gets acquitted like quickly, right? Had it not been for the DUI charge, that jury would have deliberated 2 hours, right? So I think we have, and then sentencing in our country is awful. I've been public about it. It's just, you're going to sentence somebody, for armed robbery, 40 years, like I was on Court TV 2 weeks ago, and a kid was convicted of something where he did not kill the person he was convicted of killing. It was not even debated. He rode with the guy who did kill her, who admitted to killing her, and he got sentenced to life without parole. So on Court TV, I said, so he's 19, okay? He took a joyride with somebody. The person killed the person. Even if this kid who rode with him knew he was going to kill her, right? Let's just say he knew he was going to kill her. It's undisputed that he didn't kill her. He did not do anything to kill her. He's 19. If he lives till he's 80, he'll be in jail for that amount of time. That's longer than the JFK assassination is from today. Anyone who's long enough to remember where they were where JFK was assassinated, it's a long time, right? I wasn't born for decades.
Yeah.
This kid's going to be in jail longer than that, longer than the time between now and the JFK assassination, for being 19 and being in a car with somebody who went and murdered somebody. So I can promise you guys, my dad is a lawyer in another country. So I know lawyers in other countries. We are absolutely atrocious with sentencing. That's a whole separate thing. But Karen Reed's not going to have to suffer through any of that because she got acquitted. Nope. And she murdered John O'Keefe. So I mean,
I got to tell you, like in our case, the charge was murder, and the defense attorneys argued to the point where the judge allowed reckless homicide. So it was a person who was on parole for dealing cocaine. So he had been in jail for 10 years. So he was a serious violent felon. The reckless homicide, the max on that was only 5 years. He had an enhancement for having a handgun. That was 19 years. So I mean, you're talking about, you're taking a life and you're only going to give a person 5 years, but because they have a handgun, now you're almost quadrupling it. And for us, it was, we were thankful for that because he ended up getting 35 years in the end, even though he was convicted of reckless homicide. And we really, I still believe in my heart and soul, it was murder. But, you know, I mean, it's crazy. So 5 years, you can take a life. But if you're a felon and you have a gun, then it's 4 times that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Well,
Now,
because the political leverage is off, and so what happens when you
Right.
run for office? These are all state laws, and when you run for state office, you run on a platform. One of the platforms always has to be crime and justice, right?
Right.
And you're going to say, I'm going to increase, you know, I'm going to increase punishments on people who molest children. Okay, who's going to say no to that? Well,
Right.
read between the lines. You already go to jail for 40 years, you know, for harming a kid, as you should, right? But then what are you going to do? Increase it to 80 years? Like, at what point, you know, as a society, we have millions of people in jail. You know, a healthy percentage of adults are in jail right now, and they're never, you know, some people deserve to be in jail for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
But man, like if you take your phone off the camera, off the steering wheel, and you're driving down the street and you accidentally run into a kid and the kid is paralyzed and you go to jail for 80 years, a million, like at what point? Like, you should go to jail for a long time for sure. You should be bankrupt for sure. But like, we just go too far with sentencing. But again, that's getting on a different tangent. But it plays into the Karen Reed thing, because our criminal justice system, it all comes down to juries and sentencings. It doesn't come down to lawyers. It doesn't come down to prosecutors. It doesn't come down to judges. Judges, if you notice, have no power in these cases, almost none, right? It comes down to juries, and it comes down to, you know, ever since the O.J. Simpson thing, there's no such thing as jury sequestration. I'll just say one more thing, and this came out in the Karen Reed case, and I said this, is we're still dealing with this, we're still using a system that's very antiquated and that was built hundreds of years ago. And when the last 10 years, technology has developed so fast that our system has not, it always lags behind, but it's different.
Yep.
If you're looking at from 1980 down to 1940, between 1940 and 1980, it lagged, but there was very little lag, little lag. Between 2015 and 2025, might as well be thousands of years. So the system is so antiquated, and you saw it in the Karen Reed, they did not even try to sequester the jury. They just told them, you know, cross your heart and hope to die. Don't look at this. And everybody looked at everything outside of the courtroom, and they came into the jury room with the conspiracy merchants.
Yep.
So what do you think, Mike, about, you know, her attorneys and Karen Reed and the defendant taking that third party defense out of the courtroom and putting it into the media and pointing fingers? You know, a third party defense is not uncommon. What is uncommon is to put that into the public and start pointing fingers and going to the media and employing a blogger to point fingers at witnesses. What do you think about their defense strategy with that?
It would have been the exact defense strategy I would have taken. I didn't like it, but I would have taken it. That Aidan Carney, that complete cretin, he was charged. I don't know what happened with this case. I know he was charged. He was prosecuted.
It's still going on.
Still ongoing.
Still going on. Yeah. So that as it should. And there was a gag order on her defense attorneys to not say anything in the second trial. So Judge Beverly Cannoni, like, she did the best she could, but at the end of the day, she's still a political person. She did the best she could. She put a gag order on them, but it was a defense strategy. You as a defense attorney, because defense attorneys, again, we've developed our skin based on the overzealous aggression of federal prosecutors, not state prosecutors. And so you take that skin into every situation, because I can't tell you guys how many innocent people are in jail. There are, I don't know if there's hundreds of thousands of innocent people in jail, but there are at least dozens of thousands of people. If you tell me there's 300,000 innocent people in jail right now, that would not shock me. And I know for a fact. Yeah.
I've got to tell you, Mike, I don't think those innocent people in jail are the Karen Reeds of the world. She's a white privileged person. I think when you normally find that, it's a disadvantaged person who ends up pleading to something because they can't afford to defend themselves. They can't afford what Karen Reed had. That's just my opinion. And you can tell me I'm wrong, because I'm just a citizen. But I think there are problems with our justice system. But I don't think the Karen Reeds of the world are the people that are being convicted falsely.
No. Yeah, I can address that. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to interrupt real quickly. because a bunch of people were dying to know what you were going to say about the federal prosecutors.
Okay.
And I don't even know. I feel like you kind of did
I'll
a
ask.
circle
I'll, yeah,
back,
I'll
but
answer. I'll address both those in one
okay.
in the same one. So here's my response to that. The problem is the fact that people like Karen Reed walk because they get something that 99.9% of accused people don't get. Karen Reed is the example of a person who should have been convicted. Should have been convicted. She's the example of when the system goes wrong. The other example of when the system goes wrong is hundreds of thousands of people are currently in jail and they're innocent. I know that there's. I mean, think about it like this: once DNA was invented, thousands of people got acquitted after signing a confession.
Yep.
You can't believe how many people signed a confession. There was a Netflix documentary about those 5 kids that signed confessions that they killed that jogger, that innocent girl in Manhattan, and they didn't do anything. They had nothing to do with it, and they signed confessions.
They're poor. Yeah, they're poor.
Detailed confessions. I was involved in a case where we got a kid out of jail after serving 15 years, and he signed not only a confession, a detailed map of where he committed the 5 murders. He was 11 at the time with a learning disability. He could not have even carried the gun that was used in the murder, right? And he was in there for 15. And the only reason we got him out was because the actual hitman tried to testify that he did it, and he was blocked for years from saying I did it. And then finally he was allowed after 15 years, the kid got out, right? We worked hard on that case. So the reason I bring up federal prosecutors is this. People have to understand, you see those press conferences, I call them the alphabet gang, where they announce charges, take like the Diddy case, whatever people's opinion about Diddy is. You have a prosecutor in this beautiful lit dome on a podium looking very official with a badge and a pin and a very expensive suit and pretending that they are protecting the public. And all of us attorneys know that 90% of the stuff you see by a federal prosecutor is them just pretending to be holier than thou, better than everybody, better than every defense attorney, every criminal, every innocent person, everybody. And they come at this system so stoically and so it was such evil intent that defense attorneys have their guard up with every person that they defend because they get it because of the combativeness we get from federal prosecutors. So after anybody who hears me say that, keep that in mind anytime you see a press conference going forward by any federal prosecutor announcing any charges. Like they were announcing some charges against the doctor who treated Matthew Perry, who had an overdose. Mm-hmm. After you peeled back, though, they had the DEA, they had the FBI, they had the federal prosecutors. You peeled back behind it, they made a bunch of that stuff up, and they connected all these things because they are so hell-bent on power, not finding truth, power, whereas state prosecutors are more so focused on finding truth. But federal prosecutors are so focused on just power. And I've spoken to several federal prosecutors who left and they say, off the record, I left because I couldn't handle it anymore. The people who are still there are people who drank the Kool-Aid. They actually think that they're better than everybody, right? And so certain presidents...
Yeah. So for the federal prosecutors, I got to tell you, and I'm not saying this is confirmed information. This is what I've heard. The federal prosecutors will not speak to the O'Keefe family. They will not. Yeah. My understanding is the federal prosecutors got search warrants for the witnesses' phones. They got 5 years of their iCloud information, and they are stalling on the search warrant information that those witnesses are entitled to that information. They are entitled to know why they got their phones, and the feds are stalling on it. So I agree with you, especially when you've got people, I think when Josh Levy was in that office, he was very much, and, we may or may not agree on this, but Josh Levy was one of those people who was like, we're going to defund everything. We're going to get rid of the police. That's my opinion based on his record, what he was doing. And it was like a Kim Fox in Chicago where it was like, you know what, we're getting rid of the entire system. And now that Josh is gone, the office is telling the witnesses and the victim's family, you know what, we're just going to stall as much as we can. The truth needs to come out. If somebody in that federal office was doing things to interfere with a Commonwealth prosecution. Everyone needs to know that. The bigger problem is the bigger government, right? And so if the bigger government is trampling over people's rights, that's a bigger problem than Canton PD using a leaf
Yeah.
blower, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Those are the truest words that I've heard today. I've heard a lot of true words, 1000%. But don't worry, because the O'Keefe family have a bunch of personal injury lawyers now after them. Trust me, as a guy, that's what I do. I promise you, they're going to dice them up 6 ways to Sunday. I wish I mean, I'm not admitted in Massachusetts, so I wouldn't have been the right guy to hire for that case. But if that case was in Ohio or Michigan, I would have crawled over broken glass to take on their representative. I would have completely eviscerated Karen Reed. I would have totally opened her up in front of everybody. I would have went after the federal government if they were stalling. I would have gotten everything, and it would have taken 4 years. And even just a basic civil case, by the way, just so you guys know, a basic civil case when it's contested, we had just a regular medical malpractice case, 4.5 years. We set a trial date, 30 days before the trial date is 4.5 years. It was like nothing. It was like, oh, it's a typical case. Her case will be about 4 years from beginning to end, but they will absolutely dice her up. And before they ever get to a trial, she will be so exposed. It'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, and you can see that now, actually, because a lot of sentiment has changed even in the short time since, her acquittal.
Mhm.
Things are changing. The ground is moving underneath her feet. And I can't even imagine 4 years from now what people are going to think of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be fun. It's gonna be fun to see.
Can you hear me now, Mike?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Mike, can you hear Ginny?
I can't hear. I don't know why. It's so weird.
That's so weird.
All right, you guys go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's coming off silent for me. I don't know why.
Ginny, text me if you want me to ask something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Jenny. I want to.
It's okay.
I don't know. I feel so bad.
Mike, do
It's
you have
okay.
any block?
No.
Jenny?
No, see, I don't. No, definitely not. No.
It's technology, I tell you. Technology.
weird.
There is something weird about sound on StreamYard. I don't know what it is. There's something very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, I don't know why. I want to talk. Jenny invited me, so it's a little bit.
No.
I feel so bad.
He doesn't like you, Ginny.
Well, my computer speakers obviously don't. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
Normally
We have
me, Jenny. So I guess I passed the curse on to you. You've got
Jenny,
the
Yeah.
Indiana curse.
Try it now. Hang on 1 second. Try it now.
Can you hear me now?
Can't.
No.
I don't know why.
It's okay. You guys go ahead. Don't stop for me.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's so-
usually it's Julie we have audio
Yeah,
issues with.
yeah.
So
And
We just-
you're a Midwest guy, Mike. I'm in Indiana, so I blame my Indiana Wi-Fi on my problems.
No, yeah, I don't know why. Because I can hear everybody else. I can't hear. I'm sorry. I it's a little bit bizarre. Sorry, guys.
yeah, strange. It's the technology, I tell ya.
Is there a trial date? Is there a trial date in Karen Reed for the civil case? Probably
No,
not.
there's a couple hearing dates coming up. So did we explain the reply all to Mike? I can't remember
Yeah.
how far we got
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a trial date next week, and that has to do with discovery. And then there is a trial date the following week. Sorry, it's just a pre-hearing date about that reply all. And so the
Yeah, they're
judge
gonna
is
have to have a
going
hearing.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be discovery.
The
Yeah,
judge-
they have to have the judge weigh in to see whether or not
Yeah.
they're allowed to use that as evidence. But in the reply all, did she admit to anything, or just yet inconsistent? Statements?
That is the plaintiff's
don't know.
contention. The plaintiff's contention is that she made factual
Inconsistent.
allegations that are inconsistent with her interrogatory answer.
Yeah.
According to the defense attorneys, there's no difference. Whatever she said is the same as what she said in her interrogatory, which
I could,
to
I
me,
can predict the answer. I can predict the answer for you. I know what's going to
do
happen.
it. I'd love to hear it.
So, and we're going to know the answer only after we get the decision from the judge. If that judge hates Karen Reed, they're going to rule in favor of the plaintiffs. they're going to say you're allowed to keep that information, because it really comes down to the judge. Because here's the thing, if I'm a litigant right now, if I'm whoever I am, I'm allowed to speak to any side I want, right? So I cannot, if I'm a lawyer, I cannot talk to your client and vice versa. You cannot talk to my client, but the two clients can talk to one another, and the two clients can talk to each other's lawyers. They're allowed to do it. So hypothetically speaking, let's just say she were to call that lawyer intentionally and give him an answer. Is that lawyer allowed to use that answer? Yes. But what her attorneys are going to say is that email was not intended for you. And in the law, it does say, like, I cannot hack your email as a lawyer and see what your clients tell you and use that. As a matter of fact, I'll be disbarred. But that's not what happened here. This is in the middle. She sent it to the other lawyer directly, but she's going to say, hey, clearly this was a mistake. So this judge has the power to make the decision. There's no way that judge is a Karen Reed evangelist. If they are, if that judge says you cannot use it, then that means that judge drank the Kool-Aid and actually believes she's innocent. But if that judge is as annoyed and irritated by Karen Reed as I think that they are, they're going to allow the defense to keep that, because I know this lady, the judge thinking, I know this lady is guilty. I know that she's a narcissist. She made this mistake. Screw her. She's stuck with it. Learn a lesson. At the end of the day, that's how I think that. So we'll know if that judge allows them to keep that email. Then we'll know that judge. We'll know for the rest of the case. And this is what I'm telling Karen Reed if I'm her lawyer. If this judge allows them to keep it, then for the rest of the case, we've lost all of our leverage, because every single discovery battle will weigh against us and in their favor, because there's no way. Because this is, to me, it's an easy one. Like you can easily deny them access to that email in the future if you're even. Like if you're even, you're going to tell them you can't use that email. But if you let them keep that email, that means you're not even keel. You hate Karen Reed. So we'll see.
Now, Ginny has a question for you.
Sure.
So do you know that she is also suing the witnesses, saying that they violated her civil rights via their petitioning activity, meaning they were speaking to law enforcement about what they, knew about that day or 2 days. So she sued all of them back, and because she claimed that these people during their petitioning activity violated her civil rights, the witnesses had it moved to federal court. So Ginny
Karen
wants
Reed. Karen Reed is suing the witnesses.
All of the witnesses. Yeah.
The witnesses and some of the police. So Tully, Proctor.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow, she's suing them,
right?
She's suing them.
Yeah. Very bold.
Oh, you should read. You need to read the motion.
Yeah, I think it was a fundraising. Like she was trying to raise funds. Like I think that's what it was. But
so Karen Reed's suing the witnesses.
She is.
And
correct.
So the attorney
civil rights violations
for violating her civil right through their petitioning activity. So they filed a motion to dismiss where they said this is ridiculous. Petitioning activity is protected. You can speak to law enforcement. You can testify in trials. That's protected. That's not a violation of her civil rights. But because she claimed it was violating her civil rights, the witnesses moved to have it removed to federal court. And
I know what it is. I can read between the lines. I can tell you what that is. That's the first time I'm hearing about it, but it's a no-brainer what it is. So there's a lot of politics in theater between lawyers and their clients, right? When you are a defense attorney and you have the ability to represent somebody like Karen Reed in that locality, I'm sorry to be brazen about it, but I'll just tell you exactly what it is. It doesn't even. It's not. I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that I know what's behind that. So when you want to build your law firm, you are going to need to spend a lot of money in marketing your services. But you can shortcut that if you retain a client like Karen Reed, and basically for free, you'll get millions of dollars of free publicity. Now, when a person like Karen Reed walks in your office and tells you, here's what I want you to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, She's gotten to a point where she's so narcissistic, she thinks she's calling shots, and she thinks that she knows better than you on legal strategy. So you're the lawyer, you're supposed to be advising her on legal strategy, but she's not advising you. She's demanding what the legal strategy is to you. You're going to look the other way and do some of the things she wants you to do because A, it's going to get you more publicity. We're talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. And B, you don't lose her as a client because she shopped lawyers. The leverage was totally reversed. She didn't go to a lawyer and him tell her no. She went to 10 lawyers and told them, there's a lottery. I'm picking one of you 10 guys, whoever impresses me the most. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to sue Proctor. She actually believed that her fans outside the courtroom were right, and they were representative of all the people who are going to see her case, her civil case. And she told them, I want to sue all these people. The lawyer knew that this was a foolhardy thing. I'm finding out about it now. It's the dumbest thing she could have done, right? So she's so narcissistic that you will see a lot of missteps in her case. That's probably why she did the reply all. She's so narcissistic. She thinks she's a hero. She even said outside of the courthouse between the first trial and the second trial that the people supporting her were akin to the Vietnam protesters who were protesting the Vietnam War. And when she said that, I thought, this lady has completely gone off to cuckoo land. So you're going to see that in her civil trial. She's going to make a bunch of dumb decisions and demands of her lawyers, and her lawyers are going to do it, right? Her lawyers are going to do it. They're going to say, well, there's some rational basis to do it. You can't sue a police officer or a witness for cooperating with the police and telling them what they saw. You can't do that. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I just found out about it here. You're telling me about it. But that's what it was. She told her lawyers, this is what I need you to do. And they said, okay, aye, Captain. And they did it, right?
And what's funny is in her case, she names one of the witnesses that she says this woman violated her civil rights by talking to the police and getting her arrested. That was the violation of civil rights. This woman didn't talk to the police until after Karen was arrested. Like,
it was too late. It was Nicole, and it was
then that's her Waterloo. Yeah, that's her Waterloo. Then she's completely gone off the deep end. We've all seen like very famous people who were good at one point, and then in their later careers, like Marlon Brando, they just fall off a deep end, and they've just totally gone. They've just totally gone to a side of lunacy. I think you're going to see that from her. And look, you got to think about it like this. This is a small woman with health issues, and this type of pressure cooker, I don't think anybody could withstand it. Now, she did it to herself, but I don't think anybody could withstand that pressure cooker. She's going to make a lot of mistakes now. She probably just she got what she wanted, which is an acquittal in the criminal case, and she wants the civil case to go away. So if you're her, you want to fly to France, you want to do a book deal, you want to make millions of dollars and act like a victim for the rest of your life. But she's prevented by doing that because of the civil case, because she has lawyers who sat down and told her, hey, listen, if we lose this case, you're in what's called a debtor's prison for the rest of your life. You're going to have an asset forfeiture on all your assets. Any book deal you do, you're going to lose. Well, what about put it in my dad's name? You can't put it in your dad's name, and here's why. Well, you're wrong. I'm firing you. I'm going to go to another lawyer. That's exactly what she's like, right? And so she's cagey. She's very, very raw. And again, she did it to herself. I'm very happy that this is happening to her, but she's going to be very cagey, and she's going to be making very bad decisions.
Yeah.
She's going to be calling shots, and I mean that facetiously. She's not in a position to call shots, but she thinks she's calling shots. And you're going to see a bunch of wayward, errant decisions legally that are making you're puzzled by it just like anybody else would, because you're applying common sense. But she's not using common sense in making these decisions.
Yep.
Well, the worst part of this, Mike, is she replaced, she added. So I think she kept her auto insurance attorneys, but then she added more attorneys. The interesting part of that, the attorneys that she added are David Yannetti's best friend, his firm. So David Yannetti has a very strong relationship with one of her new civil attorneys. They go back years, and they're very close friends. So her auto insurance company assigned her 2 attorneys, and Karen added these attorneys that are her criminal attorneys' close friends. And so now we start to see these missteps. And my personal opinion, you can tell me different, Mike, but I think these other attorneys that got added to the case, that are friends of her criminal attorneys, I think they're doing it for the fame, right? So if they can continue on with this fraud, and they continue on with, we got this innocent woman off, and this was terrible. And you're from Michigan, I'm from Chicago. You probably know, and you've probably heard it, back in the 80s, the CPD detectives that were beating people up and getting them to admit to terrible crimes that they did not commit. And, those are the things that, if you were to exonerate those people, that's a very lofty thing to be able to do that. Karen Reed is not that person. However,
she's not that person. Yeah.
These people are looking at it like she's that person, and that they can ride those coattails and be like, oh my God, this poor innocent woman that we got off from this crime. And, look at her on the civil side. We uncovered all this corruption that, the general population that follows her can't even define. I just hope there's a world, and I'm hoping that it's the world that we all live in, where all these people get their comeuppance, because Karen Reed is not the person who gets railroaded by our justice system.
No.
That is not Karen Reed.
No.
No. Listen, she's not railroaded, by any system, clearly. And even, you mentioned Yannetti, like he told her that she's going to have to plead guilty to something, and that came out, and she even admitted in that documentary that he told her, you've got some culpability. At the end of the day, I blame one person, and that's Karen Reed, and I blame all the jurors in her case for just making a mistake. At the end of the day, everybody else is window dressing. Like the lawyers that she had, are doing what any defense attorney would actually have to do. Because also, remember, like if you're a defense attorney and you don't do exactly what her defense attorneys did, you lose your license and you lose your career, right?
But I interrupt? I want to say real quickly, do you actually think, though, that they acted ethically outside of the courtroom? Like with Turtle Boy, do you think that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, I don't know if you caught that they were giving little, like David Yannetti patted Turtle Boy on the ass one day outside the courtroom. And Turtle Boy was basically, obviously he's been charged with witness intimidation. So he's out there intimidating the witnesses and harassing them and threatening them to not leave their house, calling the victim's mother a maggot, and just horrendous stuff.
The Turtle Boy guy, this complete moron, this creature, he deserves to go to jail. He has no quarter from me or anybody in the system. He's exactly what's wrong with our system, right? He's exactly what's wrong with our system. In terms of the attorneys, in terms of the attorneys, I don't know, as you said, they patted him. Maybe I misheard you, but
they were in contact with him.
No, you didn't mishear her.
He patted Turtle Boy on the ass.
Okay.
I'm not aware. Doing God's work.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. So, I'll be direct. I don't think anything those defense attorneys did was off kilter by what any defense attorney should do. I hated the results. I hated it because I know Karen Reed is guilty. I mean, the evidence is there. Her broken taillight, the shards of it were found in his clothing, right? And all the evidence. And now I'm getting memories from that case where it was physically impossible for him to even get to the front door of that house. He was dead. He was dead within 20 seconds of leaving that car. Dead. He was dead. So, like, to me, if I was a defense attorney, you have two choices. You throw your hands up and say, hey, my client is guilty. Well, what have you done for yourself? You've done nothing for yourself. You've done nothing for society. You've totally destroyed your whole job, your whole purpose, right? But her lies and her narcissism, and then the jury, I put all this blame on the jury. I put it all. I put all the heroism and the cape on Hank Brennan. I put all the blame on the jury. They were really just a bunch of idiots. If we're being direct.
Mike, I'm going to disagree with you on this. I 100% believe defense attorneys should be vigorous in their defense. They should advocate to the ends of the earth, but that should stay within the confines of the courtroom. What these defense attorneys did left the courtroom. And these defense attorneys were standing on the courthouse stairs and they were pointing fingers and they held up poster boards with a 19-year-old kid, accusing that kid of murder. That is beyond. That is beyond.
You know what? Let me push back on one thing. Your duties as a defense attorney go outside of the courtroom, right? That's why they call you an attorney and a counselor. You've got to not just be a lawyer, you've got to be a counselor of society if they have a misunderstanding of your client, and you have to be a counselor of your client in any pressure point on your client, right? Where I think you're coming from is the same place I'm coming from, which is I hate the result. There are many times when lawyers do this and it creates a justice in the face of injury. There's many, and I brought up federal prosecutors. There have been so many times where federal prosecutors have gone way too far and the attorney realized, I got to take this outside of the courtroom, right? Like, again, I'm not saying P. Diddy, for example, is a good person. I think he's a monster. But like that was an example of where the prosecution was just too overzealous. Like they split hairs to come up with an argument that had never been used, right? And the defense attorney said, hey, we don't have anywhere near the resources of the federal government. They're bringing up racketeering on a guy who, had people do a movie role and like really gross stuff that, nobody would ever imagine was real. But at the end of the day, they're charging him with like something akin to like murdering somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So, the job of an attorney is to do exactly what those attorneys did.
What about an attorney leaking information to
I did opine, and I still believe this, that I think those attorneys are going to have issues with their license in front of their state bars. I did opine that on television, and I still believe that. The lawyers in her case did cross ethics lines that are straight. Like they did go outside of their ethical values. None of those things though. But what they did was they lied to the court and they got admonished badly. And so, and again, I know why they did it. They were so competitive and they're so zealous in their advocacy that they said, you know what? I think they might have even believed at some point that Karen Reed is innocent. I still don't think Alan Jackson.
I agree with you, Mike. I think for me, being on the other side of it, being on the victim side, when David Yannetti released those autopsy photos, that is unforgivable for me. Mm-hmm. I can't forgive that. I cannot forgive an attorney knowing that those autopsy photos should have been impounded, releasing those so that the public could see them. And the reason why they released those, and Karen has said it, is because it proved her point that he couldn't have been hit by a car. I know in our case, when those autopsy photos were put up, it's shocking. It is absolutely shocking for the family.
Yeah.
For
generations.
A former prosecutor. Yeah. For a former prosecutor to allow those autopsy photos to be released to the public before trial is probably one of the most disgusting things that I've ever seen. You can argue with me about all the things her defense team did, but the release of those autopsy photos, I will argue I will die on that hill on that one, because
the Turtle Boy stuff that they set out, and we've shown the relationship and the text messages and the communication between them. They were directing what Aiden Kearney did. Period. And
that turtle boy guy. I'm telling you right now, I think he thankfully ruined roles of people like him in all future cases. I think a lot of, just like how you're seeing certain states are now prosecuting people when their kid does a school shooting. This never happened before, right? States get caught up and the law gets caught up and it says, this has happened too much. We're going to do something collateral to stop this from happening. I think this Turtle Boy guy stuff 100%. Helped up. Yeah, I think he helped society without intending to, by letting society know, okay, jury sequestration is dead. I've been saying that on TV. Jury sequestration no longer exists. But to take it a step further, now there are these bloggers, in the Johnny Depp case and all that just go way too far. So I think that the one silver lining to Turtle Boy is that he's hurt He's prevented future Turtle Boys from being as effective
Yeah.
as they are.
I
I
agree.
give him no quarter. For me, it's just to the question of did the attorneys do the right thing by bringing in the public? Absolutely, they did. I just hate the result. I think they did
Right.
because they had to play the only card they had, but it shouldn't have worked. It should not have worked. To me,
Well,
So
It shouldn't have
basically,
worked.
I think
you're
I think the
saying that
initial purpose was to get the case dismissed. I don't think that Alan Jackson
Yeah,
ever
probably.
intended for this case to go to trial, right? So he had Kevin Spacey dismissed.
No,
And I
no,
think
no,
his
no,
whole purpose was to get all of this
no,
dismissed.
no, no.
No,
It
I'm
was for
wrong.
one reason. No, it was just to pollute the jury, and he did it, and he
Mhm.
succeeded in
Yeah.
that. It was
Right.
just to, it was just to impermissibly pollute the jury. It's not even a question. He wanted to pollute the jury in the only way he could, and he gave them bait, and they took the bait, and the people in Massachusetts took the bait that Alan Jackson gave them. He did exactly what he should have done. I hate the fact that it worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it did.
so what
Let
you're
me ask
saying.
you, Mike, like
Hold
how
on,
do you
Julie,
Yep,
Julie,
yep,
one second.
yep. Go ahead.
So what you're maybe in a good way of saying what you're saying is that the defense attorneys did what their job is. It's the journalists that failed
Yeah.
in a way
Oh,
And
yeah.
the public
by taking that. Yeah.
public.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the judge.
blogosphere, yeah. I gave them a name, conspiracy merchants, right? Because
Yeah.
I created that phrase about 6 months ago, conspiracy merchants, right? So the
Yeah.
conspiracy merchants failed, and the jury ultimately failed. The jury system fails a lot, right? It's the best imperfect system in the world. Like if you go to another, again, my dad was a lawyer in another country, a criminal defense attorney, right? There's no jury, right? There's absolute corruption. It just, what's your last name? Who's your dad? They say you murdered this person, but then again, I know your last name. I know your village you come from. Don't worry about it. Like that's an awful system. The United States has the best imperfect system in the history of the world, right? Better than
Yeah.
Greece, better than Rome, but it's so imperfect because it's a human endeavor. So the jury system is your last bastion of getting it right, and they just got it so wrong. The cape was on Hank Brennan's back. He did an amazing job. Those jurors, I will never forgive them for the job they did. And again, before that jury came back, I tell my clients, you're going into a casino, right? Here's a settlement. And I'm a trial attorney, by the way. I don't negotiate settlements. I take cases to trial. I love trying it. I'm very competitive. And earlier today, I had a meeting getting a case ready for trial, right? Will it settle? It might settle. The trial's in August. It might, but I don't care. Because I tell my clients, I think you're going to play well to a jury. So let's take it to trial. I have clients who are going to play very poorly to a jury. I don't take it to trial. That Hank Brennan did a perfect job. That jury should have convicted Karen Reed.
So let me ask you, Mike, if all of this is fair and it's all in play, how do we combat to the public what happened with Karen Reed and her blogger, right? So I asked one of John's friends this question
Great
as well.
question. Great question.
I came in 5 months later, and by the time I came in and I started talking on social media, it was too late. It was too late.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to believe what I was saying. No one was going to believe the facts. So how do we prevent this? Because justice should be fair and blind.
I know the answer. Okay, so first of all, justice should be fair and blind. It never is. That I agree with you. I think it should be fair and blind, and we have to keep striving as a society to make it more get it better. But I know how to answer your question, and give me a minute, because this is something I'm very passionate about. The law is a living, breathing organism, and there are times every couple of decades or so where we find out that the law is very behind where technology is that day at that time, and it has to catch up. But the chasm between the system and technology right now is thousands of times wider than it ever was because of technology, because of social media, because the biggest thing in our criminal jurisprudence system has been the jury system, right? We thought that when DNA was invented, the chasm was big, but it shortened. Everything got easier because now you have DNA. But now with social media, it has widened in a way where I don't know if the system's going to catch up. This exact case in 1997, would she have been acquitted? Absolutely not. She would have been
100%.
convicted. She would have been convicted. There wouldn't have been a blow. CNN, and I'm not saying anything in favor of CNN. I'm just using it as an example. CNN would have gotten a bunch of conspiracy reports by a bunch of not bloggers, by people. And they would say, I'm not going to run this. I'm going to lose
Right.
my career. Yeah, I'm not going to lose my career. You want me to say that all her that Jen McCabe dealing with MS conspired to kill kill John O'Keefe, her best friend, and cover it up and wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and pretend to look. Yeah, I'm not going to run this. But these idiot conspiracy people did it. So to answer your question, education. I use the example of kids doing school shooting. Now you're seeing for the first time people being prosecuted by being the parent and not securing a gun, right? That never happened before. I'm analyzing that case of Texas versus Gonzalez, the school shooter, and Uvalde school shooter. They prosecuted the school resource officer, right? That's never happened before. So is it going to work? Is it going to stop school shootings? No. But is it going to reduce them? I think it will. I think if you're a parent now and you know you have a child and you have a gun, you're going to lock it up because, hey, you're going to go to jail if your kid uses that gun on anybody. So now I can answer your question, Julie. So here's the answer to your question. We have state prosecutors and judges always get together in retreats every year. They all do it. In our profession, lawyers of every ilk. You're a bankruptcy lawyer, a personal injury lawyer. I just came back from a retreat in Miami for personal injury lawyers. We all sit down and we huddle and we talk. And what we talked about at this conference was Teslas now have a way for us as lawyers, if there's a car accident, to demand a video from inside the car, and we can now find out what the driver was doing. That was never a possibility, right? So now a bunch of lawyers, whenever we have a Tesla case, we're going to go after it in a different way than we did last year and before. Prosecutors are getting together now and talking about prosecuting people like this Aiden Carney guy. So you're going to start seeing that more and more. And now if you're a blogger, you're going to think to yourself, dude, if I run a bad story and if I harass a witness, I'm going to be brought up on charges. Is that gonna prevent it? Nothing's gonna prevent it, but it is gonna curb it.
You know what makes me sad about it, Mike, is I guess I live in this bubble where I think that people should just have their own policing and their own ethics. And I'm not going to do things like that, right?
Yeah.
But we don't live in a world like that. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that you're using the law to be like, what is this person doing in their car? And it just makes me sad that that's the world that we live in right now, that we have to be like that.
Every case that was litigated from the inception of the Constitution up until 1992, up until O.J. Simpson, was litigated in the same way. You didn't have any of these issues. You could sequester a jury. You had the same either eyewitness testimony or not. And juries on the West Coast would rule differently than juries on the East Coast with the same fact patterns. And then you knew how to accommodate yourself as a lawyer. Right now, it's a complete open, in the Karen Reed case. The reason we knew she was guilty was because Hank Brennan was able to show the temperature of his cell phone every 10 minutes, right? So it's just, we don't know. No one knows what's going to happen with the combination of technology.
Hank put on an amazing case. I mean, you can't say, I mean, what he put on, like, it proved, I mean, the evidence was there. But I think it's partly a political thing. And again, like I said, I live in a very red county, and juries just do not want to convict. And I think that's a political statement about law enforcement and our government systems. And it's really sad. I don't know how to fix that, right? Because there are problems. There are definitely problems within law enforcement and within our justice system where vulnerable people and people that do not have resources maybe are railroaded. But that's not Karen Reed. That is not Karen Reed.
Not Karen Reed.
And so she's taking advantage of that, right? So she's exploiting those people. She's exploiting what happens to those people, and she's using it to her advantage. And I do not know how these masses who stand outside, many of them are those vulnerable people, stand out there and say, I'm fighting for stuff. because I have
Yeah.
a video of a
We're out
person
here
that-
fighting for
and
stuff.
fighting
Yeah.
for stuff, and they can't define it. They can't
Yeah,
define it, and
yeah.
it's very
It's
sad
like
to me to watch a privileged person take advantage of those people.
Yeah, it's like the people testify, ranting in favor of that kid Mangione, whatever, in New York,
Right.
and
Oh,
they believe he's actually guilty, and they're because they don't like health insurance prices. So here's what I'll say: I do
Right.
got to run, but I'll leave you guys with one thing. As to answer your concern, Julie, as FDR said one time, the winding road of history is always up. Right, right now, the winding road is going sideways temporarily. I don't know what's going to solve it, but I know something's going to solve it. At the end of the day, I've got to assume we're gonna progress. But the Karen Reed case was a step back, but hopefully the step back is going to allow us to catch up so that the next time somebody like Karen Reed tries to do what she's doing, it's going to happen again, right?
Yeah.
Society's ready and the criminal justice system is ready.
Well,
love
I
it.
appreciate that, and it brings me hope.
Yeah.
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thank
I
you.
feel
Mike.
we are so blessed with your presence here.
Thank
Yes.
you so
It
much.
was so much fun. I'll come
Yeah,
back
And
again.
you get the
Come back.
title of Big Mike. I will take away Big Red. You can have Big Mike.
That was funny. You bookended it well. No, it's yours. Trust me on this. If I ever bump into you in person, I don't want to deal. You can lay me out one
Well,
punch. I'm done.
I'm a very tiny person, Mike, and my kids pat me on the head and bop me on the nose. So I'll take that
Okay.
from you. You can pat me on the head and boot me on the nose.
No,
that'll
never
work.
happen. Well, hopefully we'll all meet again, and
Yes.
I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay at it, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this case again.
Yeah, we will.
Sounds
Yeah.
good,
All right.
Mike.
Yep.
Have
You
a
guys-
good
Thank you,
night.
Mike. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Michael, tell us what you first thing about Karen Reed and what you thought about this hearing.
In terms of what I think about Karen Reed, if there was a competition for who hates Karen Reed the most, I would crawl over broken glass to join that competition. I would win that competition. I would hang up the trophy on the mantle where I watch TV at the end of the day so I could see it every single day.
Mañana, mañana,